He is passionate. He is powerful. He has been heralded since the dawn of time. All people are his family. All places are his home. He has fought every war. He has faced every conflict. He is alone. He is a legion. He is the warrior. And tonight, the World Combat Championship proudly presents 8 of the world's most celebrated martial artists who will do battle hand-to-hand, bare-fisted, for the honor of being crowned the greatest warrior on the planet. Before we meet tonight's competitors, take a look at the amazing tradition of the warriors who have shaped our lives and championed our struggles. The warrior has been a figure of significant influence in every nation on the face of the earth. Often worshipped, sometimes feared, the warrior and his struggles are chronicled in verse and song and indelibly woven into the cultural tapestry of all societies. Their very names evoke stirring images of legendary heroism and fears of unbelievable physical prowess. Not just destroyers. Warriors have contributed mightily to their civilizations and brought about the betterment of the societies in which they live. In the absence of mortal conflict, warriors through the ages have participated in games or contests, ensuring the preservation of their courageous spirit and practical skills. It has always been in the heart of the warrior to organize competitions, to test their stamina, discipline, and prowess. So in the spirit and honor of those who have come before us, we proudly present from the far corners of the globe, the World Combat Championship.
Welcome to the Lawrence Joel Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, host to the World Combat Championships. Hello everyone, I'm Todd Christensen, and if martial arts expertise and never say die fighting are your fare, this is the place to be this evening. To my left, Karate Hall of Famer and former world champion in his own right, Bob Wall. And everybody talks about the aggression in this sport, but there is artistry as well, Bob.
Todd, you're so right. I'm excited to see who's going to win this World Combat Championships. And we've got some great fighters on hand tonight, and I think we're going to see a lot of artistry. Obviously, big stakes. We're not going to see them take as many chances maybe as they might, but I'm expecting to see some dynamite action, and I think you'll see some real artists at work tonight, Todd.
And I think without a doubt, we are going to see an eclectic approach to fighting this evening, one probably unparalleled in this level of competition. With me is Tom Murray, and Tom, I don't think there's any doubt about it, there are two distinct favorites here this evening.
Grapplers and strikers. The favorite for the grapplers is Renzo Gracie, of course. The strikers, Jerome Turcan. Renzo Gracie, of course, comes from a long line, a family of guys who just like to get down, beat up the opponent. The man, the mystique, you really can't differentiate from them. They are both formidable. He likes to take guys where they've never been before and put them down. Jerome Turcan, of course, a striker, is 6-time Savate champion. He's great with his legs, great with his hands, very quick fighter, and a guy who said coming into this tournament, I'm going to smoke somebody. He would love it just as well to be Gracie as anybody else. If those two guys end up being the finalists tonight, it should be fantastic as we head towards that finale.
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Our roving reporter this evening, a veteran of over 30 years of martial artistry, as well as participating in over 40 feature films. He has a special guest with him, and that's Richard Norton. Richard?
Thank you, Todd. Well, I'm standing in the walkway the fighters will take to enter the arena tonight. I'm telling you, the excitement is here. The feeling is electric. Everybody's on the edges of their seats, anticipating the first fight tonight. I have a special guest. It's my pleasure to introduce him. He's no stranger to fight fans. Ex-lightweight champion of the world, Ray Boom Boom Mancini. Welcome, Ray.
Thank you, Richard. Pleasure to be here.
Ray, obviously what goes on in the ring, we see. There's a lot goes on that the people don't see. In other words, the fighters are back there, they're stretching, they're warming up, they're psyching up. Mentally, it's got to be a lot to do with it. What goes on before the fighter actually takes his walk out into the arena? Fill us in on your thoughts on that.
Richard, this is the worst time for the fighters. The waiting, the anticipation, the unknowing. A lot of fights are lost during the walk from the dressing room to the ring. A lot of guys come out, they get into the arena, they see the lights, the crowd, they get overwhelmed by the magnitude of the event. They start hyperventilating. And when they get in the ring, if they're not prepared mentally and emotionally, it drains them. If they have not prepared themselves for that, it will bring them down.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Some words from a man who certainly knows that part of the fight game. All right, we're anticipating some wonderful fights tonight. So again, I'm excited. Over to you, Todd.
All right, thanks a lot, Richard. And right now, there's a lot of electricity and excitement, but in the end, the winner will be a winner by war of attrition. The winner has to win 3 consecutive matches with as little as 15 minutes time of rest in between each match. Now let's take a look at our fight card this evening. Right off the bat, first we have Ben Spikers against the name synonymous with greatness in this sport, Gracie. That's Renzo Gracie. In the second match, you have the 2 youngsters, Sean McCulley and Eric Paulson. A relative newcomer by the name of Mike Bitonio will go against Bart Vale, the Japanese world shoot fighting champion. And in the final match, you will have former IBF cruiserweight champion in boxing, James Waring, going against Jerome Turkan. Now, in this particular fight, there are 2 distinctive disciplines. Here to explain the division is our own Bob Wall. Bob?
Well, Todd, we start off with the grappling division, and of course, we've got an endurance contest as much as anything else because the match length is 22 minutes with no breaks. All strikes and targets are legal, even including headbutting and hair grabbing. There's no biting and no eye gouging, but that's about the limits. If the grapplers go to the mat, it's 10-minute time limit on the ground. If there's no clear winner, no submission, then they get stood up and started over again. Chokes and joint locks are permitted. And, of course, we can see leg locks, we can see arm locks, we can see headlocks, chokes, all kinds of submission holds, Todd.
Well, you know, Bob, as a result of that, it appears that there are a number of different ways to win. Not your normal fight situation, Tom.
Lots of ways to win and ways to lose, too, Todd. You can win by knockout from strikes or by chokes. You can win by submission from strikes, chokes, and joint locks, which can be very painful. You can win by the referee's intervention, who, of course, feels that if your opponent is about to go down or is in danger, he'll intervene and give the decision to you. The cornerman can throw in the towel. You can win that way. You can also win by a decision by the judges. I don't think we're going to see that tonight at all. I think this is going to be a battle to the finish. The referees will not have too much to say about the outcome of these battles tonight.
Tom, I'm inclined to agree with you. Not only that, I think the finality of the match is this crowd is not inclined to appreciate a judge's decision. Well, let's take a look at our first match. Ben Spikers from Holland, great judo expert, will go against Renzo Gracie. This is certainly one to pay attention to. Ben Spikers, as I mentioned, European champion in judo, outstanding competitor, going against Gracie, whose expertise is in the noted Brazilian jiu-jitsu. First off, let's take a closer look at Ben Spikers.
In the Netherlands, where his art is a national sport, his name is spoken with hushed reverence and great affection. His name is Ben Spikers. Dominating the European judo world for more than 15 years, Spikers has represented his native Holland in no less than 3 Olympic Games. He has been the international open-class judo champion since 1990 and won the national championship of the Netherlands, England, Germany, and Russia. Ben says his strongest attribute is his mind.
Judo is never finished in one technique. You have to always be 2 or 3 moves ahead of your opponent.
According to Spikers, when it comes to judo, the toughest competitors are always in the lighter divisions, so he's not sweating the big boys. There is, however, one competitor who's very much on his mind.
Heard that probably my first match is Renzo Gracie. I think I've got a good chance because all this kind of matches are decided on the ground.
If Spikers says he's got a good chance at beating the legendary Gracie, it isn't just idle speculation. You see, Ben has had a lot of experience at winning.
Ben Spikers!
And if you ask Ben Spikers, we're sure he'd smile and tell you old habits are hard to break.
Well, if Ben Spikers faces any indication, you would never guess that this was an executive with a public relations firm in Holland. Ben Spikers is not intimidated in the least by the mystique that is the Gracie. He has, in his own right, established himself as a world-class competitor in his particular discipline of judo. You can see there, 6 years running, the European champion. Now we get a chance to take a closer look at his opponent this evening, Renzo Gracie.
This is Renzo Gracie, a master of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, doing what he does best, giving a student a friendly lesson in his family's sophisticated style.
The good thing about the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that you can train hard as you are fighting without getting hurt.
And this is Renzo, also doing what he does best, teaching a challenger that to insult the Gracie reputation is to risk its fearful wrath.
You can do the no rules, and you can do the sport one. You can train the sport as much as you can, and then if you want, you can do the no rules and go there and fight the no rules.
Renzo Gracie is a study in contrasts. He's a physically unimposing man, yet this is one of the deadliest fighters on earth. When it comes to real combat, Renzo Gracie has little time for those who cannot see the truth.
I had a couple friends that used to do karate and are very good kickers and punchers, and get someone stronger than them in the street, and this guy beat them easy. And how come a lot of years of training is because the strong guy grabs him, put him down, and he didn't know what to do.
And like the style he practices, he can be brutally direct.
The teacher who doesn't know grappling in the future is going to be out of business.
Contrary to some opinions, Renzo believes that events like the WCC are important to the advancement of the martial arts.
And the WCC, because people start to see the realistic fight, not something they don't normally see in a movie or in a presentation, in a fake situation.
There's nothing fake about Renzo Gracie, and anyone doubting that claim is welcome to step right up and find out firsthand just how real he can be.
It is interesting that amongst the fighters, a lot of people didn't know who some of the other fighters were, but to a man, every single fighter knew who Renzo Gracie is. The reputation of the Gracie family and his cousins, Hoyt and Hickson, in their world championship bouts have preceded them. There is a mystique that surrounds the Gracie family. And Bob Wall, I have to ask you the question, how much is reputation affecting Ben Spikers?
Well, I tell you, reputation always helps if you've got the talent to back it up, which clearly Renzo does. But I don't think Vince Spikers is intimidated one iota. He's a great judo player, and he wants this match. He wanted Renzo in the first round. He wanted him. He wanted to make sure he got to fight him.
Tail of the tape does not reveal anything of significance as you look at the height, weight, and age. Possibly Gracie, with 6 years in youth, could take advantage, but I doubt it. It's clear that Spikers is in great condition. Now let's go up to our ring announcer for the introductions, John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lawrence Joe Veterans Memorial Coliseum in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, for the first ever the World Combat Championship. I'm John Higginson, and I'll be your ring announcer for tonight's event. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to bring on the Warriors. Your judges tonight, J. Pat Burleson, Kathy Long, Clay McBride, our ringside physicians, Don Blackley, Dr. Joseph Eswanik, Dr. Evan Ekman, and the referee for tonight's World Combat Championship, Cecil Peoples. Now for our first fight in the Grapplers Division. Fighting out of the red corner, wearing white pants, is 34-year-old judo practitioner, stands 5'9", and weighed in at 190 pounds. He has held national titles in the Netherlands, England, Germany, and Russia. Please welcome the 1990 through 95 International Open Class Judo Champion, the Pride of Holland, Ben Spikers. And his opponent, across the ring, fighting out of the gold corner, has a name that is synonymous with no-holds-barred competition. He is 28 years old, stands 5'11", and weighed in at 180 pounds. He is undefeated, and his family has a winning streak spanning 65 years. Introducing the 1993 and 94 Brazilian Open Division Jiu-Jitsu champion, Renzo Gracie.
Renzo, right here. All right, guys, I want to remind you, you got 10 minutes on the mat.
10 minutes on the mat, 22 minutes. Watch the eyes, no biting. Are you ready, sir? Back to your corner, please. Are you ready, sir? Back to the corner. You saw the faces of the two competitors. Those of you that are fight fans, remember that great Sonny Liston stare in the early 60s. Both Spikers and Gracie had that working. Bob, one thing that stands out here, both of them as a result of being in judo and jiu-jitsu, you see one with the gi and one without. Is that an advantage or disadvantage for Spikers?
Well, Ben Spikers is very comfortable with the gi, and I think it's a strategic disadvantage for him. I know he's comfortable with it, but I think it'll prove to not be an advantage for Ben Spikers, but an advantage for Renzo Gracie. And of course, the takedown by the great judo player, Ben Spikers, who's in the control position right now.
One of the things that's been talked about with regards to the jiu-jitsu is that he is a takedown expert, but the Gracies operate very well on their back. In fact, we've seen competitions where the Gracies have been victorious from their backside.
Absolutely, and you see Renzo right now in the defensive guard position, which he's very, very comfortable in. Now he's just gotten out of the takedown. He's kneed Ben Spikers, and he's working him into the ring.
I don't think there's any doubt, Tom, that Spikers was surprised by that. I didn't think he anticipated that Gracie would go to the groin.
And that's a classic Gracie move there with the leg strength and everything like that, being able to recover from the mat as he did and recover as well as he did.
And Gracie just hit it with a headbutt. He's already starting the attrition fight.
Bob, I wanted to point out the fact that the Gracies are notorious, at least Hoist has been, for what many people feel is passive fighting, laid back a little bit, not as aggressive clearly here. In this case, Renzo's going after it.
Yes, and each one of these great jiu-jitsu grapplers, they have their own style. Renzo's is an aggressive style, and you're seeing it now. He doesn't wait for people to bring the fight to him. He takes it to them.
Well, as a result of the fact that both are grapplers, they have plenty of time to remain on the mat, over 9 minutes, and basically because this is the expertise of both, Tom, this is where the fight is going to be won or lost.
Absolutely. And I was just about to point out to Bob that Renzo is the kind of guy, in particular, Bob, who can stay on the mat a long time. I mean, he'll stay out here all night if he has to.
No question about it. Of course, the rules tonight, he's working against the clock because he's only got 10 minutes. So Renzo has to make the fight. He's headbutting. He's putting a lot of weight on Ben Spikers. And Ben Spikers is in the defensive position trying to keep that pressure off of him.
You see the time on the floor, not consequential at this point, 8:45 and running. But I have to say here, too, gentlemen, that it's clear that Spikers is not foreign to being on his back either.
Sure. Now you saw Renzo use his knee to gain that advantage, and now he's got the back, and that's a big mistake.
Clearly, Spikers was not used to that. He took some shots to the back of the neck, face first.
I was just going to say, Todd, we hadn't seen too many blows.
He tapped out. Wow. He tapped out.
It's all over.
Renzo. He had to pull him off. Hey. And he stepped on it. That was pushing. He didn't need to do that at the end, step on the back of the neck. Renzo Gracie clearly had defeated him, and now he tries to be the sportsman. I don't know if that's the sort of thing that they're going to appreciate here. Nonetheless, you have to give credit to Renzo Gracie. He did what he said he was going to do.
Well, the crowd doesn't like it, and of course, it's unfortunate. You know, in the heat of the battle, Renzo's an aggressive type fighter, and I'm sure he regrets it now. And he's apologizing. Certainly nothing that we want to see or the crowd wants to see.
And you can see the counseling from the official. The counseling from Cecil Peoples. He says you're too good a fighter to do that. Cut that out. But clearly, Renzo Gracie is somebody that wants to establish his own reputation, not based on what his cousins have done.
Bobby, that surprised you? That seemed...
Take a look at Ben Spikers early, Tom.
See, this is... He looked pretty good here, but, you know, as soon as Renzo got on his back, I thought to myself, that's sort of a classic position he wants to be in. I mean, he fights from strength from that position.
Renzo was very clever. If you notice, he rode up.
Well, Bob, we get a chance here to take a look at the reversal by Gracie. He didn't stay on his back for long.
No, you notice he used his legs. The leg is what was the secret to turning over Spikers. And now he's taking control. He's going to take him back to the ground and using his weight against him. He's got a hold of his leg, and you can see that Renzo is beginning his war of using up the energy of Ben Spikers. Now Renzo takes him down.
Well, he takes him down here, but clearly at this point, some of the earlier pain had taken its toll on Spikers. And right there, after a couple of hits to the back of the neck, there's the right hand, and he pats the mat in submission. Renzo Gracie the winner in 2 minutes and 48 seconds.
And you see Renzo Gracie used the gi, and he choked him out from the back. That's a mistake that you never give your back to another grappler.
We don't get a chance to see it, or maybe we do right at the end right there. There's the left foot right on the back of the neck. That's completely uncalled for. Completely uncalled for. Victory is enough. Now, let's throw it to John Higginson with the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the first fight in the Grapplers division with a time of 2 minutes and 48 seconds, won by submission, Renzo Gracie.
Well, Renzo Gracie with a decision. You can see there kind of a token hug. Spiker's not very happy with himself, but clearly Renzo Gracie the aggressor. And I have to say right here, Tom, you have to be surprised that the match only lasted less than 3 minutes.
Only lasted that long, I know. I was really surprised by that, given the fact that these were both guys that fought similar styles. But Renzo got this guy down, and once Renzo was on his back, it's funny, I thought he was really going to be fighting from an advantageous position once he got on his back, because he fights so well from that position.
Bobby made a very astute point regarding the gi. The gi was part of the undoing of Spikers.
Absolutely. All the Gracie fighters I've ever seen, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people are very smart. They're chess players, and they take every edge they can get. And it was a beautiful display of Jiu-Jitsu finishing hold.
Well, we get a chance now to throw it to Richard Norton. Richard, I'd be curious as to why Gracie felt compelled to step on the back of Spiker's neck. Richard?
Okay, Renzo, congratulations. The tradition continues. Tell me one thing before we go into a couple of questions. Were you a little bit surprised that with his experience in judo that he gave you his back the way he did?
Yes, I was. And I lose my temper a little bit, and I step on his head. This was a mistake mine, and it won't happen again.
Okay. How do you feel now? What are you going to do to prepare for the next event? Go back, relax, meditate? What is your basic mind trip that you take in between matches?
Just relax a little bit and be ready for the next one.
All right. Congratulations, Renzo. Thank you. Back to you, Todd.
All right, thanks a lot, Richard. Renzo admitting to the fact that maybe he was a little bit excited in that exchange, but Bob, really there's no place for that in this sort of fighting.
Well, you're absolutely right, Todd. And what we want in the World Combat Championships is these are moral fights, moral people, and we want to see a good attitude, not a negative attitude. This is what we want to send out to the young people, is a good attitude and great skill winning the fight.
Well, interestingly enough, he was the one that said he wanted to set an example for the youth. Right there, he didn't do a very good job of it.
But at least he was man enough to apologize. That's good.
Well, we'll be right back with more conversation after a message from Cynthia Rothrock.
The martial arts master relies upon the power of an empty hand for his survival. Through discipline and courage, his empty hand can be either the expression of his fearsome skill or the offering of his sincere friendship. His true strength lies not in what he holds in his hand, but what he holds in his heart. Weapons are for wins.
Our second match of the evening is going to reveal a couple of youngsters. Sean McCulley and Eric Paulson are our participants here. Both of them strikers, and we're anticipating more of a stand-up match, which is why we have joined with us now Ray Mancini, of course, the great former lightweight boxer. Sean McCulley, his expertise, of course, is in the boxing, whereas with Eric, his expertise is in the Jun-san. Bob, give us an opportunity to explain a little bit of the striker rules for us, please.
Well, in the striking division, of course, you've got the same 22-minute match, no breaks. It's an endurance contest. All strikes and targets are legal, including headbutts and grabbing of the hair. No biting, no eye gouging. But the difference here, only 2-minute time limits on the ground. If there's been no win, no knockout, because it's striking wins, then they're stood back up and they go again. No chokes and no joint locks. So those are illegal. They can lose by using them. They got to win by striking.
Take a look at a very interesting profile of young Sean McCulley and his peculiar training.
This is Sean McCulley, a Muay Thai fighter from Orange, California. You wouldn't know it to look at him, but Sean is in a desperate race against time. A lethal Thai boxer who's fought all over the world. He typically competes at 160 pounds. But because of the WCC's open weight structure, The courageous McCulley is hoping to pack another 25 pounds of lean muscle mass onto his 5-foot 8-inch frame in just 6 weeks. To accomplish this nearly impossible feat, he set himself on a tortuous schedule of, well, maybe you just better see for yourself.
I've been stacking a lot of calories, eating a lot of food, conditioning as usual. I do a lot of weight training, about an hour a day. My main concerns with the weight disadvantages would be the leverages on the ground. Conditioning is going to be a major influence in my fight. I don't want to think about anybody else training when I'm not. I want to constantly be training.
Even if he reaches his goal of 185 pounds, Sean will be struggling to play catch-up in a field of competitors where the average weight is 210 pounds. In an event of world-class fighters, a gap of 25 pounds can be as wide as the Grand Canyon. Sean McCulley may find himself in the land of giants, but sometimes dynamite comes in small packages.
Well, there's no denying that Sean McCulley, to use the weightlifting colloquialism, is buff. He is somebody that has spent the time in the weight room and obviously at the table. He is very impressive in terms of his physique. You see there, Muay Thai along with Western boxing are his particular brands of expertise. 8 KOs. And I gotta ask you, Ray, what about the extra weight as a boxer?
Most times fighters put on extra weight, it slows them down. But in this case, Sean was light. He needed extra caloric intake. I think it can only benefit him here.
Well, that remains to be seen, but now we get a chance to look at his opponent, Erik Paulson.
Erik Paulson is a practitioner of Jun Fan, the original art made famous by the late Bruce Lee. In addition, Erik has extensive backgrounds in jiu-jitsu and the Filipino systems. A native of Los Angeles, Erik is the #1 ranked light heavyweight of the Japanese Shoot Wrestling Association, where he has been undefeated since 1992.
For this event, I'm going to be a lot more aggressive, a lot meaner, and I'm going to go in there to do one thing, and that's win.
In addition to his career as a fighter, Erik applies his combat skills in Hollywood, where he frequently works as a stuntman.
Erik Paulson originally was an alternate for this particular competition, but despite alternate status, he has to feel pretty good about himself because he has defeated 2 of the people of the competition, including the first match man, Ben Strikers. As Jun Fan has mentioned, a derivation of the famous Bruce Lee's particular discipline. And that #1 ranked light heavyweight Japanese shoot wrestling contender, that is no fluke. Now I have to ask you the question as he pulls off his top, Ray, is the hair going to be a problem? He's got it there in a bun in the back, but is that going to be an issue?
Well, I think so, because you're allowed to pull hair. And if it was hanging down, it would be a disadvantage against him, absolutely.
Okay. You get a chance to look at the tail of the tape once again. Hard to see if there's a major advantage, although I would say it's a very different 185 pounds on the 2 individuals. Erik Paulson with a 4-inch height advantage, which probably will mean nothing once they hit the mat. Now let's go up to the ring announcer, John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next fight is in the Strikers division. Now standing in the red corner wearing black shorts is a 23-year-old who holds black belts in Hapkido and Taekwondo. He stands 5'8" and weighed in at 185 pounds. He owns a professional kickboxing record of 8 wins with no defeats, with all 8 victories coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Orange, California, Sean McCulley. And his opponent standing in the gold corner, wearing black and red trunks, This 29-year-old 6 foot tall and weighs in at 185 pounds. He is currently undefeated and the #1 ranked light heavyweight Japanese shoe wrestler contender, introducing Eric Paulson.
Come here. Come here, buddy. Okay, I have to remind you, 2 minutes on the ground, no submission. 22-minute match. Good luck. Back to the corner. Back to the corner.
Tom, this has the possibility of being one of the best matches of the evening. They look very evenly matched.
Very evenly, but I tell you something, Paulson's got a longer reach, Todd, and McCauley's going to have to stay inside there to be effective, I think. Otherwise, I think we might see an advantage by the taller guy.
Right up the bat, he goes with the kick, and you're a big fan of that, Bob.
Yes, I am, and we're going to find out right away who the real puncher and kicker is.
Right. Todd, as you can see, McCauley has youth on his side. He has superior upper body strength. He was highly intense, and he's highly motivated for this. That could work in his favor here.
Well, Ray, you've been around this enough to know. You see two bodies, and they both listed 185 pounds, but it's a very different 185 pounds.
That's for sure. That's for sure. I think inside on the clinches, it will only benefit McCauley because of his superior upper body strength.
Well, so basically, if you're Paulson, do you want to stay outside?
Oh.
Sean McCauley with the black punch without the which I just did the takedown. He's starting to punch on Eric Paulson.
I don't think that Paulson had anticipated being as short that he was going to have the reach that he did. I think he thought he wasn't going to be able to punch him. But as a result of that, Tom, he's been able to get in some good shots.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now he's on his back, and again, that reach is going to help him. We should point out here, too, Bob, that McCauley's got a very strong kick. He's kind of renowned for his ability to kick.
One of the other things, too, as you can see, is the headbutt has already started some blood over both eyes of Paulson. That could be a problem later on. And very quick.
You're absolutely right.
There he goes to the back of the hair. See?
Sean McCauley's got a hold of the hair.
Back the hair. And there's the headbutt again. Paulson has to do something to get out of this clinch. There's 1:10 left on the mat, and clearly the mat has been a big advantage for McCauley.
Sean McCauley using
his hair again. You know, I know that there's something to be said for style, but I'm guessing here, Bob, that if you're going to participate in contests like this, you got to go with the crew cut or something else. This is just a big disadvantage.
There's no question about it. It is a big disadvantage. And right now, it's working against Eric Paulson.
One of the things that has to happen, at least to Paulson's advantage, you can see the clock there in the lower left corner, about 35 seconds and counting. Soon Cecil Peoples will have to step in and get them up, and that could be a respite, Ray, for Paulson.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, Todd, one thing we have to watch for Paulson, he has three things on his side. Experience, experience, experience.
Well, you got him in a bad spot now.
He's got a bad spot. Experience may be fine, but now he gets his face off. No submission. Cecil Peoples with his eye on the clock, knowing that they're going to have to come up.
There was a spot where Eric Paulson needed to roll, and if he'd have rolled, he'd have had his leg around the head of Sean McCauley, but he didn't know to do that.
Well, now they have to come up. Now they have to come up. And as I say, I think that's a definite advantage for Paulson here, but those are the rules of the game.
Eric Paulson with the red stripe on your screen right.
There's a kick, Bob.
Front kick by Sean McCauley, and Eric Paulson comes right back with a front kick.
Now, Bob, it appears to me that McCauley might have spent himself a little bit on the ground. His punches seem to be lacking a little bit.
No question, and that's going to play into this. This is a real endurance contest.
Again, this is where Paulson's experience may take over, or will the youth of McCauley take over?
Ray, one of the things that you're used to is that inevitably when a guy gets tagged, it shows how he can come back. Does he recover or doesn't he recover? And it appears here that Paulson has recovered a little bit, hasn't he?
If his body's in shape, it'll recover rather quickly. But some of the punches, some of those kicks were devastating that McCauley was delivering.
Paulson certainly has more experience standing up, huh, Bob? I mean, it would certainly seem to me that if he can stay on his feet, he's going to have the advantage in this thing.
Well, we talked about the fact that Paulson got a respite. It seems to me that right now in the clinch, the McCauley has taken a little bit of a breather.
Absolutely. And again, that's what Paulson needs to do, is to keep the pressure on Sean McCauley, because he should be the better man in the grappling
outside. You can see the experience now from Paulson. He's grabbing the back of the trunks, keeping his elbows on his side, coming up with the knees.
All right, now this is a big advantage because Paulson's in the balance position. And here goes the inexperience of Sean McCulley. He's giving him his back, and that could be very dangerous for Sean McCulley.
You heard Cecil people say no submission. The match cannot end with a submission with a choke. And so as a result, you see Paulson now dominating the competition. McCulley has to make an adjustment.
Paulson is very tired right now. If he doesn't finish him here, both guys are very spent. I think Paulson has to deliver the final blows here.
Well, McCulley clearly is not doing anything. He's just trying to fend him off. He needs to get up. He needs to do something.
Now, Eric Paulson just knocked out Sean McCulley's mouthpiece.
He's going to try and wait up the storm here, it looks like.
We got a special eye camera here to give you a close look of the aggression. And right now, clearly, it's all Paulson. This has been two different matches, Bob.
Absolutely. McCulley can't stay on his back, so he's going to lose his fight. Here he goes.
And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. Ray, you called it. You said that the veteran ring deputy of Paulson would be the reason he would be triumphant, and you were right.
Yes, he just stated he just bided this time. You can see he was getting tired, though. Bided this time. He got McCulley in a position where he wasn't able to use his upper body strength. Took him to the mat instead of hitting him and get him in a position where Sean was unable to use his strength, and he took him out.
And if you were paying attention, it was interesting there, Tom. If you saw when they shook hands afterwards, Paulson gave McCulley his mouthpiece back.
And he's not wearing gloves.
Tremendous competition, and despite the aggression, great sportsmanship. Early on, Bob, it appeared that it was all McCulley.
No question. McCulley took it to him, but he seemed to, the condition again, made the difference. That and his inexperience in giving the back to the ultimately superior fighter, Eric Paulson.
And Ray, as you mentioned, the fact that his experience was going to pay off, I think that everybody at a certain point thought that this was a no-brainer for McCulley, but Paulson comes back.
Yes, you know, in any time any form of martial arts, whether it's the boxing or Asian martial arts, experience will always take over.
Here's where Paulson really gained a big advantage in this takedown. He got into the mounted position, and Sean McCulley didn't know what to do. He turned his back, and ultimately that was the biggest mistake and the end of the fight.
And Tom, clearly the fatigue factor, it hit McCulley, and Paulson's able to finish him off.
Fatigue and experience, yeah, Todd. I mean, Paulson obviously had more experience on the ground and on his feet, and that really showed in the clutch there at the end of the fight.
Well, let's go up to the ring announcer, John Higginson, for the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the first fight in the Strikers division with a time of 5 minutes and 17 seconds, winning by a submission from Los Angeles, California, Eric Paulson.
Well, two guys from the LA area have to come all the way to North Carolina to settle this. Ray, I want to turn to you first. Without a doubt, it was, I mean, that was about as action-packed as you can get in 5 minutes and 17 seconds.
It was devastating. I mean, I'm tired watching it. You know, street fights don't go that long. Boxing matches have a time limit of 3 minutes. I'm telling you, that was vicious, and I'm certainly glad I'm on the outside.
Bob, you got to give Paulson a lot of credit. You know, it would have been easy to count him out there in the first 2 minutes, but he hung in there.
Absolutely, and, you know, give him credit. He's from Bruce Lee's school, the Jun Fan Lee school, and I'm sure that he's had a lot of hard training, but in experience and conditioning won out.
Tom, I think that this is something here where you'd have to give a lot of credit to Paulson for his resilience, not just his experience, but, man, you're getting beat up, and he hung in there.
Not only that, but and Bob pointed it out, the economics of that particular way of fighting, the Jun Fan, get the job done, do it with a lot of resources, and just get it done.
Okay, Richard is with, I'm guessing, a very fatigued winner. Richard?
Thank you, Todd. Eric, wonderful result. Now, it seemed to me that he had you in a bit of trouble in the beginning. Obviously, he's got some strength there. He's a kicker and a puncher, and I think that maybe surprised you a bit. How did you feel about that beginning?
He had a strong, actually standing up, he was pretty strong. When I hit the fence, I thought I could get off, but we ended up sliding to the ground, and I was in a bad position. I tried to sweep, but he's got a good base. Seems to be real strong. His base is real strong. I tried to sweep him a couple times. I ended up putting him back in the guard. He stood back up as time ran out, and ended up going back down on the mount, which is actually my favorite position. So, strong stand-up fighter, real good.
Question, Eric, obviously the hands, because they're not taped to norm, you're not wearing gloves. You deliver a lot of punishment with the hands. How do they feel now, and how do you feel going into another match under that condition, not even considering the fact that you took some punishment to the head?
Give me a few seconds to regain my consciousness. Actually, I'm looking forward to it. Maybe he won't be as strong on the ground. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But as far as kickboxing stuff goes, I've been training a lot, mostly standing lately, but working a lot of the, not submission so much, but hitting on the ground, so we'll see what happens with this next one.
Okay, well, the all-rounded training definitely paid off, Eric. Congratulations. Okay, over to you, Todd.
Okay, thanks a lot, Richard. There are plenty of opportunities to get some merchandise here at the World Combat Championships. Tom Murray is here to tell us about it. Tom?
Okay, Todd, folks, you at home can be part of the action with the exclusive clothing from the World Combat Championship. These official 100% cotton T-shirts, sweatshirts, and hats are great souvenirs. Call now. Operators are standing by. Also call now to order the limited edition official poster of the World Combat Championship. This poster features the names of all the main event warriors from this, the first World Combat Championship. Order now by calling 1-800-248-5055 for your World Combat Championship merchandise and official poster. 1-800-248-5055.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tom. Our third fight is a much anticipated fight because it's bringing in somewhat of an unknown quantity in Mike Bitonio. He is going to go against the veteran Bart Vale. Kapu Kui Alua is the technique that is utilized by Mike Bitonio, and the shoot fighting, predominantly a Japanese sport, is the man that Bart Vale is about. But let's take a look first at Mike Bitonio.
This is San Pedro, California, a harbor town with one of the busiest ports in the country. Over the years, it's earned a reputation for producing a rough and tumble breed of hard-working men. In Southern California, to say that a man is up to the mark physically, you say he's San Pedro tough. Meet Mike Bitonio. He's San Pedro tough and then some. There's nothing complicated about Mike. What you see is what you get. His approach to life is simple and direct. Act with courage. Commit completely and never give up. Mike Bitonio is a fighter. His fighting style is called Kapukuelua, an ancient art of Samoan bone breaking.
The elements of Kuelua that make it effective fighting art are that it incorporates all four ranges of fighting. You got your kicking, trapping, boxing, and grappling.
Some men are just made for fighting. What makes Mike Bitonio so formidable? Maybe his teacher Kaja can explain it best.
Mike Bitonio is a good fighter because his heart's there. I mean, the guy has never given up. I've never seen him slapped out since he's been training with me. He's one of the most intense fighters I've ever seen. He just has that heart, and the main thing is his determination to win. I mean, he really wants to win this event.
The effort, the sacrifice, the endless hours of agony. It's all in a day's work for Mike Bitonio. Ask him why he's willing to go through such an ordeal, and he'll give you a very down-to-earth reply.
If I win the WCC, I'm going to pay some bills.
Mike Bitonio, living proof that when the going gets tough, the tough get going.
As we mentioned, Mike Bitonio is somewhat of an unknown quantity. But something to take a look at are the lower legs of Mike Bitonio. And I say that because one of the effectiveness, one of the best things in this particular competition is to be able to front and back kick. He has the kind of legs that are well suited to this type of competition. You can see there his record in bare knuckle matches, his best weapon being a joint lock. Now we get a chance to take a look at the veteran, Bart Vale.
Miami, Florida, vacation resort for the young. Retirement paradise for the old. Land of soothing sun and Gulf Stream breezes. Occasionally, however, this land of enchantment plays host to a fearsome force of nature. Powerful, destructive, and unstoppable. Down here, they give these seasonal storms names. Andrew, Diana, Aaron. Inside this building, Miami houses another force of nature. Meet the storm that can't be stopped. Meet Bart Vale. At 6 feet 3 inches tall and 260 pounds, Bart is the undisputed Shoot Fighting Association heavyweight champion of the world. He captured the Japanese crown in March of 1992, the first American ever to do so. And to stay on top in this arena, you have to master it all.
Shoot fighting is a combination of Muay Thai style kickboxing with submission grappling. So it pretty much covers both fields real well.
Bart came to shoot fighting from the art of Chinese Kempo, in which he holds a 6th-degree black belt. He's known for his speed and power.
My best technique, I would have to feel, is probably my leg kicking. My leg techniques, combinations and that. I'm real strong with leg kicks and that. I think that would have to be probably my strongest technique at this point.
Given the brutal rigors of shoot fighting, injuries are common, but Bart's never been seriously hurt in the ring.
My worst injury wasn't even in the martial arts. It was playing football. I had received the ball and I was running. A guy hit me from the front and the back. Both helmets split or damaged my kidney to where I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks.
Known for his sophisticated and versatile strategies, Bart says technique isn't enough. To win at world-class level, conditioning is just as important.
One of the Japanese put it to me one time that you could have the most expensive car in the world or the cheapest car in the world. If you don't put gas and oil in either one of them, they don't go nowhere. And the same thing is with conditioning. You can have 100 techniques, but if you run out of energy or strength or what we call gas, then, you know, it's over. You can't compete any longer.
Running out of gas and coming in last, something Bart Vale never plans to do.
You know, Bart Vale is good for this sport, and I'll tell you why. Any place, anywhere, anytime, anything you can think of, this man is willing to fight. He may not be the greatest practitioner on the planet, but he is absolutely fearless. World heavyweight champion in shoot fighting over in Japan. And Ray, I have to ask you, the fact that this man has been all over the place, he is not intimidated by any crowd or any arena, right?
No, not at all, Todd. That's what I was talking about in the beginning. He's used to fighting all over the world. He will not be intimidated because of his experience. Again, experience plays a big factor.
Bob, you've had a chance to see Bart Vale fight. Give us a preview.
Well, I'll tell you, Bart Vale probably is the strongest athlete in this competition. He's big, he's mean, he's tough, he's aggressive. The key here is going to be how will his technique stack up and how will his condition stack up.
Get a chance to look at the tail of the tape. We have two very formidable physicalities. Look at this. Mike Bitonio, 6'1", 215. That's a very solid 215 pounds. He is going to be giving away 45 pounds to the large and intimidating Bart Vale. Let's go up to ring announcer John Higginson. John?
And now, introducing the combatants for our third quarterfinal match. This bout is in the grapplers division. In the red corner, wearing black shorts, is a fourth-level expert in the Samoan art of Koku Kuialapa. He is 30 years old, stands 6'1", and weighed in at 215 pounds. He has a record of 10-0 in bare-knuckle matches. From San Pedro, California, Mike Bitonio. And across the ring in the gold corner is an undisputed master in the professional shoot fighting. He is a 34 years old, stands 6'3" tall, and weighs 260 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, from Miami, Florida, the current heavyweight shoot fighting association champion, Bart Vale.
Okay, I want to remind you, watch for the eyes, no biting. You got 10 minutes on the ground. You ready, sir? You have to go back to your corner. You ready, sir? You leaving your shirt on? Okay.
Tom, I got to tell you, that looks like a fighter.
It does. I'll tell you, he's got the look, that's for sure, and the physique, and a reputation, too, for being very aggressive and incredibly ruthless in the ring.
Well, Mike Bitonio clearly is not afraid. He goes right after him, being very aggressive.
Sure is.
And Vale reverses it. we find out about the defense for Kapalua.
Well, this is a lot of pressure on the neck, Ray. He's really putting it to him on the neck. Antonio has to be careful. Now the punching.
This is where the strength of Bart Bell will come in. Headbutt there, split his eye. Bart Bell is a destructive force, I'm going to tell you. He's just so strong. Look at him.
Tom, you can see Mike Antonio trying to come back with a headbutt and grabbing the hair, but it doesn't appear he's being very successful.
Not successful at all. Bale's just going at him.
Well, this is the Grapplers division, and there's 9 minutes remaining on the ground. So Mike Bitonio is in for a battle. You can see the blood streaming from his forehead already, Bob.
Mike Bitonio right now is making effective use of his hands. The big mistake, I see Bale keeps extending his arms, and hopefully that doesn't work against him. But as I said, he's certainly using his strength and his weight to advantage right now. Bart Bale, they're using that headbutt. He's already cut Mike Bitonio pretty well.
Well, that's a big-time headbutt, too. I mean, I'm guessing that's going to be about a size 8 hit.
Yeah, with a lot of force and a lot of torque. And again, Todd, the reputation has been a guy who has broken bones. Wittingly or unwittingly, this guy has hurt people.
Don't forget that Bart Bale, we didn't mention this, Bob, he knocked out King Shamrock. He is really a formidable opponent.
No question about it. And he's in the mount position right now, so he's in a very, very dominant position. He's got an excellent opportunity to put a neck crank on Mike Bitonio.
And Bob, we should mention here, too, that Bitonio is a guy who has a tremendous ability to take pain, and Bale has a tremendous ability to give it out. It's not a very good equation here.
Well, Bob, one of the things that Bitonio said, too, was the fact that that was his best asset, is his ability to endure pain. He's getting an opportunity to show that.
Well, he sure is.
Sometimes we say in the boxing ring, he's got more heart for his own good.
That's a good expression, because right now Bart Bale is really punishing Mike Bitonio.
See, you can't tell so much, but Bart Bale is using his weight on him a lot right now. Now he's come back, and Bart Bale, he's getting the back. If he gets he's got a chance for a neck crank here. Oh, this is a bad position. This could be all over for Mike Bitonio if he doesn't get out, and he got out.
Wow. Well, Ray's comment,
there's the back.
Ray's comment about too much heart for his own good, it seems applicable right here. Mike Bitonio refuses to give up, but he is really paying a price.
Oh, boy. And he outweighed by 45 pounds, Todd. I mean, he's got a great deal of heart, but he's got to know when to say when.
His eye is swollen up there. It's got a hematoma on it. One more headbutt and he'll split open.
See some people's has to look close. He takes a look at the ring doctor trying to make a decision.
Bart Bale's putting a lot of pressure on his neck crank.
First time down on the floor, they were only there for 2 minutes and 41 seconds. So as a result, once they get up and come down again, it's still a timing factor.
I mean, I don't know. This corner should be stopping this. This kid's taking an excessive amount of punishment on the floor.
Well, right next to us here on camera, all of Bitonio's buddies trying to encourage him and shouting through the ring, trying to give him some motivation, but it's just not working. Bart Bale just seems to be too much.
This ability to hang in there and just take this pain is
again,
it's not a good thing.
No, it's not. And this is what I'm saying. His corner got to be smarter. They can see that he's in a position where he's not going to be able to get out unless he flips Bart Bell over, and that's a tough act. 260 pounds of dead meat on top of you.
If he doesn't know how to throw in the towel, those guys in the corner have to know how.
Well, once again, he shows some resilience and throwing Bart Bell off for a little while, Bob, but I'm inclined to agree with the other two.
That's all right, Todd. Mike Bitonio right now is not using his legs. You see he's fighting only upper body. He needs to get his legs into the equation. Now, Bart Bale's in the mount position, and it's a very superior position.
Cesar Peterson's looked over at his corner, and his corner has the towel, and he's waiting to throw it in. But once again, Bitonio comes over the top. Amazing how he's able to hang in there.
But that 45 pounds, Todd, that differential there is just killing him.
There's the ball. Bob, we've talked a lot of time about the fact that the weight advantage in some cases means nothing. Clearly a mismatch that has been a determining factor.
There's no question about it. That and the fact that Bart Bale has made better use of his balance And Mike Batonio has not been able to get his legs into the equation. He's got to bring those legs in. He's so strong upper body that he's probably learned to rely on it.
Tom, at the outset of this contest, I mentioned that if you are a fan of Never Say Die Fighting, this is the place for you. I got to give it to Mike Batonio here. He has refused to give up.
Yeah, this is the quintessence of that philosophy, but boy, it's taken to an extreme, Todd.
So far, Todd, this is the longest match we've had up to this point. Almost 8 minutes, or a little over 8 minutes, I should say.
And I think all of us are surprised that Batonio has lasted this long.
Oh, man, tremendous courage, tremendous courage. And he's an extremely strong kid himself, except he's just fighting probably the strongest guy in the whole tournament.
You know what, Ray? I'm thinking, and Bob, and you comment on this too, it appears to me that Batonio is having to use all of his strength just to keep Vail away. He hasn't had any strength to do anything offensively.
Well, you're right. Conditioning ultimately will win this thing because now these guys are using up tons of energy. So it's a question of can Mike Batonio, and he's done it, he's reversed it.
Wow. Wow, the crowd just can't believe this, and they appreciate the skill and the sheer guts of Mike Batonio.
Sometimes determination overcomes a lot of other things. If he's able to outgut and outlast Bardot, he may outcondition him and get the win.
He certainly proved he's in great condition. I just wonder if he said to his corner before this thing, don't you dare. Wait till I get going. Give me a couple of minutes.
Well, the issue here is going to be if he has enough energy to put an offensive assault, Bob, he expended a lot of energy defending against Vail.
Absolutely correct. No, Bart Vail choked him out. He had to tap out. Bart Vail has won it.
Bart Vail with all the striking techniques and at all the points in which we thought he was going to win, we were incorrect. And out of nowhere, he chokes Batonio out. He tapped out. All of his followers over there are upset because they thought that the official had stopped it, but Cecil Peoples clearly pointed out that he had tapped out, Bob.
There's no question that he tapped out. Bart Vail had him in a submission hold that he just couldn't resist from.
What an effort put in by Batonio. Absolutely phenomenal effort. You hear the boos as Vail is declared the winner, but take a look at
Here
the
comes the
punishment
reversal
taken.
by Mike Batonio.
Mike, take his hand, baby.
Headbutt by Bart Vail. You can see Mike Batonio making good use of his legs. Now, Batonio gets out of this one. He's able to roll over, even though he's given his back. He's strong enough to pull back. Comes up. And Bart Vail has got him in a very difficult position right here. But Batonio, so strong, he's able to withstand it. He slips out, comes up to Bart Vail's head.
And Tom, interestingly enough, to finish the fight, just at the end, it was at a point to when you thought Batonio was back. He's on top.
Back he comes.
Take a look what happens.
Here we come to the finish. And Bart Vail on the bottom, but he's got the lock. He's got his arm, you see, the choke, and he's got a neck crank. And there's a submission. There's the tap out. And Bart Vail wins it. And a tough, tough match. And, you know, we're going to find out that could be real tough on Bart Vail later. Back to you, Todd.
All right, let's go up to John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the third quarterfinal match in the Grapplers division with a time of 7 minutes and 10 seconds, winning by submission from Miami, Florida, Bart Vail.
Bart Vail with the submission. And Tom, I've got to ask you, you heard the reaction of the crowd. Surprised that it was booze, don't you think?
Very surprised. I think they were expecting, there to be more, but this is really the inevitable case of a guy who outweighed another guy 45 pounds, who had tremendous ability to give out punishment. The other guy had tremendous ability to take punishment, but when you've got that much of a weight differential, it's only a matter of time.
It seems to me that the experience of Bart Vail won out, Bob, because of the fact that he's used to a number of disciplines. He surprised us really at the end, choking after so many strikes.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely correct. Ultimately, his experience, his superior experience, and I might add his superior weight, and I feel his superior strength paid off for him. The problem, Mike Batonio is so strong, but he just didn't have the use of his legs like he might have, like Bart Field did.
Hey, Ray, you got to give Mike Bitonio credit. A big heart.
Oh, I love him. Big is this place. Just the old saying in the fight business, a good big man will always beat a good little man.
Well, in this case, Richard is with the good big man. Richard?
Thank you, Bart. What a match. You know what he said to me in the interview before, and he said, I never quit. What was going through your mind mentally as a fighter? Forget the physical stuff. In your mind, what was going on when he refused to quit?
He wasn't going to quit. That's what I thought. I had him with everything I could. Different holds, different submission holds that most guys would have gave up a long time ago.
I know, it's an incredible amount of respect to him because you're hitting with headbutts, you're hitting with everything you had. But I guess, as you said before, endurance and, of course, experience plays so much. So obviously that helped you a lot. And having done it so many times also helped you a lot to endure it through.
Sure did. I had a great time doing it, and he was really good. I look forward to the next one.
Okay, thank you, Bart. Congratulations. Over to you, Todd.
All right, thanks a lot, Richard. A tremendous match between Mike Bitonio. And so we get a chance now to listen to our own Ray Mancini with a message.
On the street, it's all about reputation. All about making a name for yourself with your crew. Well, they got a name for homies who go down for the color. You know what they call them? They call them corpses. Don't throw your life away. Gangs are a dead end.
Our fourth fight is going to be against a couple of strikers, James Waring and Jerome Turcan. James Waring, of course, it's well documented that this is a man who was very successful in boxing, IBF cruiserweight champion back in 1991, and of course, the discipline for the Frenchman is savate. First off, let's take the opportunity to look at James Waring.
James Jr. Waring is everybody's natural athlete. At 37, this 6'3", 218-pound martial artist holds 4 championship titles in full contact karate and a world title in professional boxing. He was recently inducted into Eastern Illinois University's Football Hall of Fame. But his most famous accomplishment took place in the boxing ring. On September 7, 1991, James knocked out his opponent in 24 seconds of the first round to capture the IBF World Cruiserweight crown. That's the fastest knockout in a world title bout ever.
Before that fight ever happened, I had a dream. And in the dream I had, the man figure came out, and he handed me the world title IBF belt. I mean, I say that I won at 24 seconds, but I never take credit of that fight. I give that fight to God.
Today, he owns and operates James Waring's World Championship Boxing, Kickboxing, and Fitness Center in Miami. He takes great pride in his students and oversees the instruction of all classes.
I'm proud of them. And each one of my students, I know each one of them. I know, when I first started, when they didn't know nothing at all. And now I see them with a nice smile and glow. It makes me feel good.
James is a devoted father and husband who places great emphasis on the importance of family. This commitment to community values has earned James letters of commendation from the city of Miami, Dade County, and the House of Representatives for his work as an athlete helping underprivileged youth.
All my life I've been lucky. I've been lucky when good people, positive people, that they want good things that happen to me.
In preparing for the WCC, James says he's simply honing the boxing skills he's always possessed.
But when I walk in the ring, it's all over. I'm there now. I want the glory. I love the glory. And I'm an athlete. Anything I do in my lifetime, I want to be the best.
The question is, can a guy this nice find the fury to triumph in the WCC?
Well, James Waring may be a nice guy, but he is a tremendous athlete. In the course of conversation, I discovered that James Waring and I were in training camp together back in 1979 with the Oakland Raiders. He turns 38 years of age next month. He was offered a contract by the Jacksonville Bulls. What a tremendous athlete, not just in football, but he went into regular boxing, did some kickboxing, and now he is a part of the World Combat Championships. Take a look at that legitimate record there, 37-4-2, 31 KOs. As we mentioned earlier, IBF World Cruiserweight Champion back in 1991. Now let's give ourselves a chance to take a look at his opponent, Jerome Turcan.
bastion of fine art, Baroque architecture, and an elegant little art known as savate. Jerome Turcan is a connoisseur of all three. He says that it was the dynamic, flashy technique of savate which appealed to him. At 31 years of age, this 198-pound fighter has won the French Savate Championship 6 times. He has 58 professional victories to his credit, 35 by knockout.
I'm here for business, boxing business.
Turcan's kicks are fast and show good extension, but his hands are considered his deadliest weapons. He's known for the power of his left jab and right cross combination. Turcan likes to think of himself as a fighter's fighter. He says his heart and courage are his greatest attributes. He vows never to give up, claiming his opponent will have to knock him out to win. But his friends and family say there's a sweet side to Jerome. They say he's a nice guy, really, a very nice guy. Gentle, warm, good sense of humor. His wife Angie's quick to point out Jerome's sensitivity and patience. To hear them tell it, Jerome Turcan wouldn't hurt a fly. Still, they do admit that maybe it is good to stay on his good side. After all, as Jerome likes to say, nice guys finish fast.
Continue along the line of being a nice guy. It turns out that Jerome actually likes to write stories for children. And he's had one published, one called Le Petit Francois. But he is not somebody that's thinking about writing stories or doing anything childlike this evening. 6-time French champion in the discipline of savate. He is in for a battle against James Waring. Bob, you have to figure that here's a situation where 2 stand-up fighters are going to see a lot of punches and kicks.
No question about it, of course, with James Waring, who's an ex-world boxer, ex-world boxing cruiserweight champion. He's a dangerous puncher, there's no question about it. And Jerome Turcan is a devastating kicker who also says he's a good puncher. I expect the difference in this match to be the leg kicks from Jerome Turcan. That's what I would expect.
Ray, one of the things that stands out here, the cruiserweight championship for Waring. Is that going to mean anything tonight?
Yeah, James knows how to throw good punches, straight punches, and hard punches, and put his body behind it. But I'm going to tell you, always in the fight business, we always say it's a young man's game. James is 38 years old. That's going to work against him, I think.
Well, of course, unless you're George Foreman. Here we get a chance to look at the tail of the tape. As you mentioned, 38 years young. I'm 39, doggone you. 38 years young next month. Both 6'3", and about a 20-pound weight advantage for Waring, but I really don't see that as a big issue. Let's go up to John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now for our last quarterfinal bout. This bout is in the strikers division. In the red corner stands a professional boxer wearing purple shorts. This 37-year-old stands 6'3" and weighed in at 218 pounds. He holds the record for the fastest knockout in a professional boxing title fight. Please welcome the former IBF cruiserweight champion, James Jr. Waring. And his opponent across the ring in the gold corner, wearing red trunks, this resident of Alvedon, France, is 31 years old, stands 6'3" tall, and weighed in at 198 pounds. Introducing 6-time French savate heavyweight champion, Jerome Turcan.
Mr. Warren, Mr. Turcan, right here. All right, guys, I want you to 2 minutes on the floor, 22-minute match. There is no grappling. There is no submission. You understand? Do you understand? All right, back to your corner, please. Back to your corner, please.
Tom, I have to wonder, at the top of the show, you mentioned that Turcan is one of the favorites. Still feel that way?
Absolutely, Tom. This guy kicks as well as with his feet, as well as he throws punches with his hands. He's very quick, and he really wants to make a name for himself in this tournament.
Bob, how do you think the discipline of savate figures in here tonight?
Well, I think the Muay Thai part of Jerome's training will play a more important part than the Sabat's. Sabat's amateur, Muay Thai's professional. But certainly the combination of his training is going to be very important. It really gets down to Turkan's more of a kicker by reputation, and certainly we know James Waring is a puncher.
Ray, we know that James is a puncher. The punchers have not worked out so well thus far in these events.
No, they've got themselves in a bit of trouble. But I believe James can time, and this is what a fighter, where the fighting experience comes in. If you can time Jerome Turkan coming in and drop the right hand on him, that will be to his benefit.
Well, you saw right there, Turkan showed the quickness of his feet. Waring trying to do a little grappling here, and a mistake on the part of Turkan. Bobby gave him his back.
Absolutely. Now the advantage here is that neither one of these guys are grapplers. They don't have grappling experience, so it's not so dangerous.
I was going to say, that's Bob, right before you did, you can see the experience of James Waring, that he didn't know what to do with him when he got behind him.
Exactly.
One of the things that Turkan has done early on is kick the legs of Waring, and initially you're thinking to yourself, Tom, big deal, why do you kick the legs? But that can sap your energy over the long haul.
Absolutely, and you keep worrying that you wear down those legs, and those kicks, if they're placed in the right way, can be devastating. Not only do they wear the legs down, but they can create a lot of pain and bruises, and when your wheels hurt, you can't move around as quickly.
See, Turkan said that his strategy would be to beat on the legs of James Waring until he felt he had him where he was immobilized, and then he would go to his hands. That was his strategy. We'll see how well he executes it.
You can sense, Ray, you can sense a little anticipation with the crowd. They're used to such action-filled, bloody fights up to this point, but right now that hasn't occurred.
No, not at all. And again, I think Turkan is doing the right thing. James Waring legs. He's 38 years old. Those 38-year-old legs. That will be to a disadvantage. As I said, it's a young man's sport.
Tom, are you anticipating the fact that this could go longer than the other matches?
I'd say yes. They're fighting at further away from each other, and I think that would lend itself to that kind of a thing.
Oh, big right hand. James Waring, good right hand. And he's going down. Remember, it cannot be by submission. He tapped him. It looked like he might have tapped out. Okay. He called it out. Wow. I thought he tapped out sooner. It looked to me like he tapped out sooner. But James Waring is the man. And why he's pointing at me, I have no idea.
He wants you next. He wants you next. He didn't get you a 79 in training camp. He wants you now.
I'm staying here, Ray. What a punch. What a punch, and what a big surprise. I don't think that anybody had anticipated that. Quick right hand by Waring ends the fight.
And that cut him too, Todd. His right eye.
Again, Todd, that's what I was saying, where the advantage to Waring would be. We could catch him on the outside of one of them right hands, which he did right here.
Here's the setup. Waring throws a kick with his own. He steps in. He's holding him with his left hand.
Watch him drop the right hand.
And he drops the right hand right across the forehead.
But that's not the one that put him out. Take a look, and it's just lightning quick. It's surprising because you said he's an old guy, Ray, but he showed some quickness.
But he knows how to use his hands.
There was a punch to the back of the head.
And give Waring credit right there. Instead of standing there and watching, he knows the discipline he's involved in. He goes right in for the kill. Now, right there, you can see that Turkan tapped out. Cecil Peoples didn't see it. But finally there, he sees the punch underneath. Turkan looks up at him and says, no more, no more. Peoples runs in. Here comes the punch to the back of the head right there. Watch the legs wobble right there. Right there, Ray's on Queer Street.
So when you get, a lot of people don't understand, you get hit in the back of the head. That then discombobulates you, messes up your equilibrium. And that was a brutal shot there.
And Waring caught him with a good kick going down, which helped set up these. And then once he started punching straight into the face, Jerome Turkan tapped out.
Discombobulate, huh, Ray?
I like that word.
Big word. I'm going to get some trouble for those.
Hey, I'm an educated pugilist.
All right. Up to you, John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of our last quarterfinal in the Strikers division with a time of 2 minutes and 35 seconds, winning by submission, James Jr. Waring.
Well, unlike the other bouts, this one ended in boxing-like fashion, and I have to turn to our boxer, Ray Mancini. Ray, you've been dogging that boy for being old. I'm going to tell him afterwards, and he's going to want you up in that ring.
No, as I said, again, and I'll always say it, anytime you get into martial arts, anytime you're in combat, it's a young man's sport. But again, James used his boxing technique to win this match. Because you could see Turcan was kicking his legs, banging his legs. But as soon as he got hit with the right hand over the top, good night.
Bob, you have to give him a lot of credit. Nearly 38 years of age. He showed not only some great skill, but overall athletic ability.
Absolutely. James Waring is a brilliant all-around athlete. He said he was going to do it. He came here and he did it. Age is no factor to him. He doesn't know how old he is.
Obviously, I had no idea what I was talking about.
Okay, hey, Richard, you need to ask my fellow geriatric how he feels after this one. Take it away, Richard.
Okay, thank you, Todd. James, congratulations. You told me earlier on that you don't feel anybody in this event would last more than 5 minutes standing with you. Did you have any doubt that that would be the end result?
Oh yes, nobody can stand with me really boxing wise. You know, I'm still learning. I ain't kickboxing about 10 years. The first time I started kickboxing again about 2 months. I'm training with Harris Spizak and John. I had some more guys I was training with. But I feel real good. I feel great.
So the leg kicks and everything from Jerome didn't particularly worry you at all? Was it concerned? You seem to be just taking your time.
Yeah, I take my time. I want to get, I'm taking my time and I feel good. I feel real good.
Excellent. Wonderful sportsmanship from both of you at the end of the match. It's a tribute, for other martial arts and people to see that from Jerome and from yourself. I think everybody appreciated that too.
Thank you very much.
Okay, congratulations, James. Over to you, Todd.
Tremendous sportsmanship, and Ray, I'm going to tell him you said to think about you and Tom about that age thing. He's coming after you. How can you do this after George Foreman did this at the age of 46? The man's not even 38 yet. You're talking about.
Well, George should have said goodnight a long time ago, right off on the sunset like John Wayne. Good night, George. I don't know, but you have to think about the upcoming match against Eric Paulson. Will he be able to youth again? I'm going to go with youth in that fight. I have to go with youth.
Well, I tell you, they never learn.
I'll tell you something. If I'd known he was a Raider, I might have changed my prognostication.
Yeah,
he was a Raider.
He was an ex-Raider. All right, let's take a look at the updates now in the semifinals. Just an absolutely classic in our first one. Renzo Gracie and Bart Vale. You've got 5'11", 175, 180 pounds versus 260 pounds. But everybody is cognizant of the fact that the large people have not been a problem for the Gracies. And as you pointed out, very interesting in the next match, Ray, Paulson versus Waring. I wonder if a lot has been taken out of Paulson with his battle earlier. Waring clearly at 2.5 minutes cannot be that fatigued.
But the difference is going to be James Waring did not know what to do when he went to the mat. Paulson is a terrific fighter on the mat. That will be the difference.
Bob, who do you like in the first match?
Well, definitely Renzo Gracie, but I expect it to be a tough match. There's no underestimating Bart Vale, but Bart Vale had a very, very tough match while Renzo Gracie had an easy match. And there's just no underestimating Renzo Gracie.
All right, I'm going to give you the opportunity to say it again. I don't want to keep beating the point. It's just that Waring's the same age as I am, so I have to ask you, what do you think? Can he do it again?
I think he's capable of doing it again, absolutely, but I'm going to be very curious to see how he fares against Paulson, because Paulson really, more experience down there on the mat. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how that fares. And I'm going to be very curious to see how Gracie does once he gets on his back against Vale, because he escaped so well in that first bout. That's really his area of expertise. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles the bigger guy.
All right, we get a chance to look up close at some of the disciplines. Its practitioners have been called the bad boys of the martial arts. It's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
A street lethal hybrid of traditional grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a ground fighting system which makes use of choking and joint locking techniques. At the turn of the 20th century, judo master Mitsuyo Maeda settled in Rio de Janeiro, where he was befriended by Brazilian scholar Gastão Gracie. In gratitude, the Japanese master taught Gracie's sons his art. Maeda was fond of testing his techniques in no-holds-barred matches, a practice the Gracie boys enthusiastically embraced. The Brazilians called their art jiu-jitsu, returning to judo's root combat style. They dropped any technique which was impractical. Their holy writ was simple: if it doesn't work, throw it out. Expanding upon their Japanese origins, they added movements from Greco-Roman and freestyle wrestling, testing each new refinement in hundreds of actual fights. The result was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, an art dedicated to true combat. And today, the reputation of this deadly style has turned the martial arts world upside down.
In the art of shoot fighting, anything can happen. and probably will. See for yourself.
Professional shoot fighting is the fastest growing sport in Japan today. A hybrid form of kickboxing, shoot fighting brings the additional elements of grappling and submissions to the mix. In the sport of shoot fighting, nearly everything goes. Fighters are not permitted to strike an opponent's face with a closed fist, deliberately spear the eyes, or strike the groin. With those exceptions, all other hand techniques are legal. Takedowns and throws are allowed, and the fight continues after the contestants hit the mat. Shoot fighters evidence a high degree of grappling skill, though they show a preference for leg locks. Initially a Japanese invention, in recent years the sport has been clearly dominated by American fighters. The WCC's own Bart Vale captured the world heavyweight crown in March of '92 and still holds it. The eclectic combination of punching, kicking, throws, and submissions can make for exciting and sometimes painful matches, leading some loyal fans to dub shoot fighting the sport of cringe.
Well, it's fun to get a chance to look at those particular disciplines. Oft times we're not as knowledgeable as we think we are, and it's fun to see that up close. And Tom, we've witnessed in our first 4 matches this evening the very thing that we talked about at the outset, and that was very different, divergent ways to win a match.
Very different ways. I mean, you're either going to be in close or uptight. Again, we look at the ways to win by knockout from strikes or chokes, by submission from strikes, chokes, and those joint locks, which can be painful. And it's obviously something that you have to look for in this kind of a situation.
Bob, I have to ask you, as you've watched this thus far, any big surprises? The first, I'm sorry, excuse me, let me let Tom finish.
Yeah, the referee's intervention, of course, we mentioned that at the top of the show. Cornerman can throw in the towel if the fighter's in distress, and the decision by judges, which, again, is something that these guys certainly don't want to happen. They want to go in there and win on their own terms.
I have 2 words for decisions by the judges. Yeah, right.
Or no way.
That has happened thus far. Bob, any surprises thus far?
Well, I think you'd certainly have to say, even though no one should have ever underestimated James Waring, that strikers have not done well in this competition. Now, albeit he was fighting a fellow striker, but I think the handicappers probably figured that Jerome Turcan's leg kick would overcome it. But here again, you don't underestimate a world-class athlete, regardless of the age, and I think James Waring has to be somewhat of a surprise.
Yeah, Ray, you have to enjoy the fact that boxer was as successful as he was, but I have to ask you this after having watched all the competitors. Is there anybody that can beat Renzo Gracie?
I think the guy in the next match, Bart Vale, is the only guy who can do it at this point. Bart Vale is so big and so strong, and I think if they go to the mat, that will be to his advantage, and that, you know, he just may be a little too big and too strong for Renzo Gracie.
Okay.
And lay off of me with the age. You guys keep beating me up about the age. I made one comment.
Okay, we'll lighten up on you on that. Tom, how about you? What do you think about, is Gracie the guy to beat?
I think Gracie's the guy to beat just because of the reputation, and just because I think when he's on his back on the mat, that's when it seems to me he's at his best. I mean, he sort of waits to look like he's going to be in a vulnerable position, and that seems to be when his strength comes out.
Bob, one of the things that I'm impressed with a number of these fighters is we had a chance to see them before. It's clear that cross-training is the way to go, and I'm not talking about Bo in his shoes. I'm talking about cross-training in martial arts.
Absolutely. If you want to win the World Combat Championships, you've got to be able to grapple. You've got to be able to strike. You've got to be able to move. You've got to be in great condition. And you've got to be a chess player. You're going to see that Renzo Gracie, for example, and Bart Vale, clearly. I mean, he showed you a lot of intelligence out there. This is not all just brawn.
Okay, let's go to our roving reporter, Richard, with a quick story regarding Bart Vale. Richard?
Yeah, thank you. At the moment, we just went back to the dressing room. We understand Bart Vale is being stitched by the doctor for the World Combat Championship. At the moment, though, it's a little bit secretive. It's very hard. They won't let me in, probably because it's their fighter, and they don't want to give anything away. But we do know that his eye is being stitched, and we'll give you an update as soon as we know anything more about it. Thank you, Todd.
Okay, thanks a lot, Richard. You know, it's clear that would be a big issue. Tom, you know, not only the fact that he's getting stitched up, but we're also aware of the fact that with Mike Bitonio, a lot was taken out of him.
Oh, an awful lot, an awful lot. That was a tremendous fight, and I think a guy like Gracie is just going to smell that like a shark and just go for the weakness and get on that very, very quickly, take advantage of it.
You know, Bob, I got to tell you, from a very selfish standpoint, I hope he's all right, because I'm sure that's a match that the people here are really looking forward to. The big man, Bart Vale, world Japanese shoot champion, versus Gracie, but it's a possibility that might not happen. What do you think?
Well, I certainly hope so. I would say, knowing what I know about Bart Vale, it's going to be pretty tough for him to ever say no, to ever stop. I'd expect to see Bart Vale come out. But again, the doctors have control of that if the stitches are bad.
Okay, let's go back to Richard. He's with Bart Vale's manager. Richard?
Yes, thank you. I've got Max with me. Max is Bart Vale's manager, and Max, we understand there's some stitches being applied to Bart Vale. Can you give us an update?
Yes, he's got a severe laceration on the top of his head and along the eyebrow, which we've been advised by the doctors not to allow him to continue due to the nature of the injury up above on top of the head.
So that's official. The doctor has recommended that he does not continue due to the injury.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. You heard it then. Bart Vale is now out of the competition due to lacerations, and the doctor's advice is he should not continue. As you know, everything is always in the fighter's interest. Even though they want to go on, we have to look at the ramifications of the injuries. Anyway, you heard it from us. Thank you very much. Over to you, Todd.
Okay, thanks a lot. That means that Phil Benedict is going to get the opportunity. The youngster from California at 5'6", 200 pounds is going to be going against Gracie. And I find that that's going to be interesting, Bob, because that's another short grappler. That might present a little bit of a problem for Gracie.
Personally, I don't expect it to be, because Gracie is unbelievably strong, but it's unbelievable technique. And I think that Benedict's inexperience relative to Gracie's is going to prove his undoing. I would expect Gracie to win that match relatively handily.
Well, Ray, you certainly are an expert on short guys. What do you think about Benedict's chances?
Oh, man, me and you're going to go to the mat pretty soon. I like his chances in this respect. If you're going by technique, as Bob just said, yeah, Gracie should be victorious. But let's not forget, Phil Benedict was a four-time NCAA powerlifting championship. Gracie's not going to be able to lift him up and throw him over his head like very easily. This guy is a strong guy. Short, compact. I'm looking, this can be an exciting match.
And naturally, Tom, the question you have to ask is, that's great. He bench presses 450. What does that have to do with in the ring?
I don't think it has a whole lot to do with especially with Gracie, with the technique and with his ability to sort of adapt to any situation. I think he'll just find a way to take care of this guy. I think that's really his forte, is adapting and conquering.
You know, Bob, it's cliche in the fight business now because it's gotten so much notoriety. But at least from what I saw in the first match, it seems to me that Gracie really has the eye of a tiger.
There's no question about it. He comes from a great family, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu family. There's so many of the cousins, the Machados, etc., all train with. This is a big family, and they all train hard. They've all been training for years, and they're really experienced at this kind of fighting.
Okay, Bart Vale's injury brings up something with regards to concern in this brand of fighting, and that is the injuries and the medical attention given to these athletes.
The competitors who step into the World Combat Championship ring will face three very specific types of medical risks. First, acute superficial trauma and soft tissue damage are the most likely forms of injury. This includes surface cuts to the head and hands as a result of the powerful striking blows athletes will deliver and absorb. Contusions and hematomas, sprains and hyperextensions of tendons and ligaments can pose threats that every fighter must protect against. In the event of severe cuts or disabling soft tissue injury, even the best fighters can have their bout halted. The second category of injury is actual breaks of cartilage or bone. This is common in the nose, ribs, and knees. Fractures to arms, legs, or joints can occur if martial artists do not submit quickly when they're placed in one of numerous joint locks. Samoan bone crushing is aptly named and poses a particular threat to the opponents of this discipline. And third, the most serious injuries that can occur inside the ring are internal ones. These can be caused by powerful blows to the head and abdomen. The forces these martial artists will generate with their hand strikes and leg kicks can cause internal organs to hemorrhage or rupture. As a result, the doctors at ringside will be watching these bouts closely and can intervene if a fighter shows signs of serious injury. The martial artists who compete in this event are serious athletes with years of training and conditioning for this extreme competition. Do not attempt any of their techniques at home. Unless you practice martial arts under the supervision of trained professionals, very serious injuries can result. I'm Dr. Leo Gordon for the World Combat Championship.
All right, we're awaiting the Gracie-Benedict fight, and there you get a chance to take a look at them, Renzo Gracie and Phil Benedict. I'm sure that the fans as yet have not been informed of this, of the fact that Vale is not going to compete. You know, Tom, the big question here, of course, is whether or not can Benedict show himself well here.
Well, I certainly think he'll show himself well. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got the capability of doing that. I just don't think he can do too much against Gracie. I just think Gracie's got too much experience.
Well, let's take a look at Gracie in the first fight and show what he did. Absolutely relentless, Bob.
No question about that. This is a very intelligent fighter. Not only well-conditioned, but very intelligent fighter.
Victorious in his submission of Spikers, and right there, as I say, something he would want back. That's something that we don't like to see and hope that never happens again. Now we get a chance to see coming into the ring will be Renzo Gracie. It's interesting because, you know, it appears to me that he's just kind of tolerant of the fanfare. You saw him with his mouthpiece in. He knew that he had to stop and get a shot of the camera. Takes it out. A very token effort on his part as he steps in. You know, it just seems to me, Bob, that his intensity level is higher than the others.
No doubt about it. He is focused on winning this fight. He's not only got his reputation, he's got his family's reputation. He wants it.
Ray, I mentioned earlier the idea, and maybe I was overstating the case, but I'm curious. When you look at his face and the intensity, I thought of Sonny Liston. That's the name that came to mind.
That's a good example. Total concentration, total focus.
All right, heading in now, right behind him, Phil Benedict. Still has the cut on his nose, but Tom, one thing that comes to mind right here with regards to Phil Benedict, which certainly has to be to his advantage, his fight didn't even last a minute, so he certainly isn't fatigued.
Didn't last a long time, and that cut shouldn't cause him too many problems. If it was over his eye or in some area, a vulnerable area, yeah, absolutely, but that's not a cut that's going to be bothersome, I wouldn't think.
You know what, Bob, something that Tom mentioned earlier, that Gracie is like a shark. He sees the blood and he goes after it. You think he'll take advantage of this?
You can count on it.
Now we get a chance to look at the tail of the tape. Gracie versus Benedict. Benedict outweighing him by 20 pounds, but I really think that an issue here might be the length of the legs and the arms, Bob. 5-inch advantage to Gracie, and because of his flexibility, I think that's something he'll take advantage of.
You're absolutely right. One of the things you watch with the Gracies, they make maximum utilization of their legs. They use them equally with their hands.
All right, let's get up to John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the participants in the first of our semi-final matches. These fighters are from the grappling division. Standing in the red corner, wearing white and black, is the man who defeated Ben Spikers by submission in the quarter-final round. Ladies and gentlemen, Renzo Gracie. And his opponent in the gold corner, wearing gray shorts, replacing Bart Vale, fought in the preliminary matches this evening and defeated Jerry Bell in only 36 seconds by submission. Iron Will Benedict.
One more time, guys. 10 minutes on the ground, 22 matches. 22 minutes for the match. Any questions? Back there, please. Back in your corner, please.
Well, Phil Benedict, this is his opportunity. Every fighter wants to go against the best.
He's ready.
And everybody has said, basically, Tom, that Gracie is the man to beat. What an opportunity for Phil Benedict, who is an alternate fighter.
Absolutely. And on paper, Todd, if you didn't know anything about this, if you walk in here cold turkey, this would look like a total mismatch, but it sure isn't.
Well, you can bet that Phil Benedict wants this. You know, he's a grappler. This is what he wants.
As you can see before the match, Phil Benedict, which was what I said before in the beginning of the match, it seemed to me he was hyperventilating. He was breathing real heavy, watching me be extremely nervous and make mistakes early in the match.
Well, you know what, gentlemen, I'm surprised right now that we've had this much time up on their feet.
Well, I think Phil Benedict, probably part of his strategy, he thinks he's stronger, so he wants to take advantage of that, see if he can hurt Renzo before he takes him to the ground.
Well, once again, you have to wonder if this is part of a plan for Gracie as well.
You you see the use of the legs on the takedown?
You did see the use of the leg. He took that left leg, took advantage of him.
Now, this is Renzo Gracie's area. He's underwater now.
This is where Benedict has to be careful because he's giving up his throat. And so many times the hits to the back of the head when you're on the bottom are actually more of a problem to yourself because of your knuckles than they are to somebody else, Bob.
You're absolutely right. Now, Renzo Gracie has got Phil Benedict in the mount position. It's a very powerful position to win from. You've got lots of opportunity for arm locks, chokes, neck cranks.
One of the things that Gracie does well, take a look at the legs behind. You see his legs crossed. That's the reason why Benedict cannot get out.
Exactly. And that's the point with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They make use of their entire body. Phil Benedict has got to get out from this position. You notice he's not using his legs.
Right.
Meaning Phil Benedict.
Well, once again, the energy for Phil Benedict has to be in defense, Tom.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is the position that Gracie just lives for, like this. And Benedict has got to lose those legs to get out of the predicament, or he's just going to be cannon. There you go.
That's it. It's all over.
Positively relentless. Renzo Gracie. And for you youngsters at home that are watching this and are saying that brawn is always the issue, it is not. The technique of Gracie was superior. And you can see right there that Phil Benedict is a bloody mess. 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Phil Benedict has to be a little bit frustrated, but what could he do, Tom?
Now here we go.
Well, again, here we go. Now watch the leg move here. He's going to sweep him.
And he hooks
just
the
like
leg,
that. Hooks him.
And down he goes.
And that was the key right there.
Bob, one of the things here clearly that you pointed out is the idea that his legs were dominant. The legs are crossed here. Benedict can do nothing.
That's absolutely correct. He's got the Renzo's got the mounted position. He's making him pay. He's making sure he can't think about anything except staying where Renzo wants him. And that's the whole idea of the punches. And he, like we said, he went to it. Here goes the end. Here's a neck crank.
Ray, one of the things here you'd have to say is that Gracie is not using up a lot of energy.
My thoughts exactly, Todd. You could see when he was on top of him, he was just sitting there kind of resting, letting Benedict use all his.
Okay, let's go up to John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the semifinals in the grappling division with a time of 2 minutes and 8 seconds, winning by submission, Renzo Gracie.
Well, Tom, one of the things that you have to say there, and you have to appreciate the sportsmanship of Gracie there, he does not want to have the same attitude he did the first time. This time he finishes his issue, and I got to ask you this. I asked you about the 400-pound bench press. Didn't help there.
Didn't help there at all. It's technique, and it's the desire of this Gracie, the family tradition, and the ability to do things once he gets in the match, to recover, to use his weight, and to use his legs. It's one thing he's done consistently all night. He's used his legs. He's a small guy, 180 pounds, but boy, does he use his weight well.
Bob, the techniques of the Gracies, just impressive.
No question, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people, they're so well balanced, and as Ray pointed out, they get the most out of the least.
Ray, I have to ask you a question that's asked all the time in boxing, and you hear it all the time with an underdog. He's got a puncher's chance. Do any of the punchers have a chance against Gracie?
Of course they do, but again, reason why most strikers have not won any of these type of competitions, because when they go to the mat, they're out of their element. So this is definitely benefits Gracie and all those type of grapplers who work on the ground.
Okay, once again, let's go to Richard with Renzo Gracie. Richard?
Okay, thank you, Todd. Renzo, I noticed you seemed, we know you're comfortable on the ground. In fact, the finish was a classic mount position in jiu-jitsu. But the stand-up situation, you've obviously done some work in the punching and kicking area as well.
I have been practicing a lot. The people think the Grace family member can punch. I can punch.
Well, that showed, as I said, it was a classic mount position, finishing off with the hands and getting him to turn. His upper body strength, any of that didn't seem to deter you at all.
Yes, the difference of weight makes a lot of difference. I feel myself like a feather when I'm on the top of him. But I believe that my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, my skills on the ground fighting can make me able to stabilize the weight difference.
That definitely showed. How do you feel now? All ready for another match? You seem like you're having a holiday out there.
No, it's not. The guys are tough. It's a hard job. I'm like that because I'm very well prepared for that.
Congratulations again, Henzo. Okay, over to you again, Todd. Thank you.
Sullivan, Dempsey, Lewis, LaMotta, Marciano, Robinson, Mancini, Ali. No fighting style has ever produced more legends than boxing. Stand back for the sweet science.
Western boxing can trace its origins to Greece in the time of Homer. However, boxing owes much of its present form to its development in Europe and America beginning in the late 1800s. Initially a bare-knuckle contest, boxing truly caught the imagination of the West when John L. Sullivan won the heavyweight championship in 1882. This period saw the introduction of leather gloves and standardized rules, but it wasn't uncommon for matches to last 20 rounds or more. Boxing's next great advance came when James J. Corbett KO'd Sullivan to capture the title in 1892. Recognized as the first scientific boxer, Gentleman Jim's sophisticated use of footwork and the jab ushered in the modern era of the sport. Today, boxing is known for its fluid footwork, head and body movements, and devastating punching combinations. Once snubbed by martial artists, the style is now recognized for its lethal sophistication. Little wonder the amazing Muhammad Ali referred to boxing as the sweet science.
Well, Robert, what do you think? This is kind of a classic matchup here, and again, I think we need to really talk about this Bruce Lee style, because that's something that people at home can kind of relate to. They've certainly seen it, and the difference from what they're going to see in the ring from what they've seen in those traditional Bruce Lee movies, big difference.
Well, there's no question about it, and the thing is, this is reality, no chance to reshoot it. A lot of these fellows have magnificent techniques, but they can't take, or won't, most of them, take a chance. They stay with what they do best. Now, with Eric Paulson, you know, he comes from the Jun Fan, which is Bruce Lee's Chinese name, Jun Fan Lee, and he called his first school in Seattle Jun Fan. He comes from that style. He's also had a little Muay Thai, he's had a little grappling. And Todd, what are you going to call in this match here? We're coming up with Paulson and Waring.
Well, one of the things that stands out to me, well, come on, I got to go with the geriatric. I don't know if he's going to win. But, you know, one of the deals here is that you've got to be excited about, as I mentioned earlier, a puncher's chance. Eric Paulson versus James Waring. You mentioned the technique of Paulson. Very effective, and his conditioning was an issue, and I think that would be the issue here. The longer the match goes, I think that Paulson is certainly going to be an advantage of him. Let's take a look at the match earlier. Paulson, after taking the beating, Bob, is able to, his experience won out.
No question, and that's an element here. You know, Eric Paulson had the much tougher match. James Waring had the easier match. So, and Paulson's strength is on the ground fighting, whereas Waring, of course, is going to be, I suspect, a far superior puncher-kicker.
Tom, one of the things that stood out to me was that he caught him with that quick right. I mean, Waring could catch him.
He could catch him. He's quick. He's quick for his, I hate to say it, for his age, although he's younger than I am, and he's a former Raider. Let's not forget that.
Okay. Coming in now. Eric Paulson. Now, once again, something that I would think, Ray, I could be wrong, but wouldn't you have wanted after that first match cut off the ponytail?
I would have tried to tighten it up as much as possible, but I think that's all he can do, because he does have quite long hair.
I don't know, Bob. You know, it seems to me that when I watch this, you know, everybody has a little degree of vanity where they're concerned, but I would think that that's such a disadvantage in a match like this.
There's no question about it. I'm sure that he's thinking about his acting and stunt career, but if you're going to enter this, you've got to cut it off.
All right, now we get a chance to look at the highlight of James Waring in his first match. Watch the quick hand, Tom, over the top.
There it is. That's what his knees and legs just buckled. And then look at, he goes in for the kill here. I mean, didn't waste any time going in and finishing him off.
Obviously, Ray, he never heard of the long count between Tunney and Dempsey.
Not at all.
One of the things that stood out with regards to James Waring, Tom, is that in the biography he talked about the fact that I love the glory. I like the glory. he made no bones about the fact that he has an ego. He's got to love it right now.
Absolutely, and that can do a lot for you when you're, when you're supposedly over the hill. I mean, he's loving this, and obviously still has a lot of youth in his legs and in his punches.
Well, now we get a chance to look at the tail of the tape. Now, once again, the thing that stands out to me, of course, is the 33-pound weight difference. But again, Ray, I got to ask you, the 8 or 9 year age difference, that going to be an issue?
Well, let me just set this record straight. I'm going for James Waring. He's my guy.
Okay.
He's a boxer.
Yeah.
But I think Paulson will win it because of his experience on the ground. James does not know how to work on the ground, or didn't show it the first fight.
Great job, Ray. Way to hedge your bet. Let's head up to John Hankinson. John?
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the combatants in the second of our semifinal matches. These fighters belong to the striker division. Standing in the red corner wearing black and red, having defeated Sean McCulley by submission in the quarterfinal round, he has earned his place in the semifinal round. Let's hear it for Erik Paulson. And in the gold corner, wearing purple shorts, this man enters the ring having defeated Jerome Turcan by submission in the quarterfinal round, James Jr. Waring.
Let's go. Let's go. Again, 2 minutes on the ground, 22-minute match. There is no submission, no choking, no grappling. Any questions, sir? Any questions, sir? Back to your corner, please. Back to your corner, please.
Ray, you had a chance to look up close at Paulson's face. It seems to me that because of the bumps and bruises and the cuts that he took right there, those could open up easily.
Very easy with a good right hand across or a good left hook, headbutt. They will probably open up.
And Waring's experience as a boxer, Bob, he's going to take advantage of it.
I would expect Waring to win this match, but we'll see.
I think
Tom, Waring is so confident when he's on his feet.
Boy, he just exudes confidence and very, very quick, Todd. I mean, I've been very surprisingly impressed with how quick he is.
And you can see, Bob, that Paulson's a little bit wary right there. He doesn't want to walk into one of those right crosses.
No, he knows there's dynamite on the end of that right hand.
I would think he would want to get James down to the ground as soon as possible.
But again, he can't make him submit, so he's going to try to kick him, I think.
Well, but you know what? The problem with that is we saw the record, 37-3-1 as a boxer. He also has done some kickboxing, so that's not a big issue for Waring either, Bob.
No question, James Waring was a kickboxing champion.
Surprised it started this slow, Tom?
Actually, I'm not. I'm really not. I mean, I think these guys are really going to feel each other out for a while and try and just stalk each other before they get into it.
Well, both are very experienced fighters, and clearly they're not in a hurry.
You know, the old adage in boxing is when you're fighting an older opponent, go to the body, take his legs away. In this case, I think they're trying to kick side, a sweep with the leg kick, and try to take the legs out.
Well, Paulson opting to go with some knee butts, but the height of Waring is an advantage because he can't get to the groin with that knee, Bob, because he's so tall.
Well, right now, Erik Paulson's doing what he's got to do. He's going to try to wear out and try to work a knee in here so he can get a little hematoma going to the leg.
Tom, the one thing that stands out to me, though, is Waring's experience.
I tell you, Todd, he's doing very well there. I mean, he's deflecting these blows very, very well with his legs. Doing kind of a rope-a-dope thing here.
You can see the corner man of Waring exhorting his fighter right on top of things. If I was him, I'd be suggesting he get his punch to the face. And right now you can see there's a swelling over the eye of Paulson, Bob.
Absolutely.
This should benefit James Waring. This is where his infighting from boxing should take effect. Coming up over through the middle with the uppercuts and over the top.
Well, Ray, one of the problems here for Erik Paulson is even if his eyes and his cuts open up, unlike boxing, there is no break. He's not going to get a between-round opportunity of his cut man fix it.
That's right. That's right. Again, I still would think that Paulson would run in, flip him over, get him on the ground, and do some damage on the floor.
They have that ponytail.
Well, Tom, last match when we watched Paulson, it looked like he was running out of gas, and then out of nowhere, he went after McCauley. Do you see the same pattern here?
Great second win. But I'll tell you something. I don't know if he's going to be able to pull it off with Waring, because this is really a classic boxing situation here, and Waring's right at home in this situation.
You know, one of the subtle things, Ray, that people might be missing is that Waring is landing some body punches. That could be taking something away from Paulson.
Absolutely. But Todd, also when they're in tight, James has to grabs the chain fence with his hand. Paulson's head's on the other side, but he's wide open for left hook. But Paulson can't see because his head's down.
Well, Waring went with the right hook there, and he caught him a pretty good shot, but Paulson recovered. Paulson comes with the kick to the face and scores, but obviously it wasn't very damaged. There he goes.
Boy, he's trying to get him down, Tom, but he can't.
You know, I'm just sitting here thinking that the winner of this fight, no matter who's the winner, is going to go against Renzo Gracie and be very fatigued, because look, this is a rough fight.
Bob, it's clear that Paulson wants to get Waring to the ground, but Waring's having none of it, and I think the advantage as a result has been Waring's thus far.
Yes, and Waring's got very strong legs. Obviously, he's done a lot of work on his legs, and those James Waring's very strong legs have kept him where he wants to be, upright.
Oh, yeah? Well, Ray said that they were old. Ray said they're almost 38-year-old legs. Tom, I think those 38-year-old legs are hanging in there pretty well.
Hanging in surprisingly well, very well. He's obviously, as Bob mentioned, done a lot of work on him, and I think this is kind of throwing Paulson for a loop. I don't think he was expecting him to be this tough.
And that was James Waring grabbing the hair of Eric Paulson. The hair comes into play again.
Finally, right here is a point where if Waring's able to get his right arm free, it's going to be an issue. Paulson is smart. He's trying to keep that right arm in there. Now it's out. You can hear his manager telling him to use the elbow, and that's exactly what he did, Bob.
You're absolutely right. He knows he's in close. He can't get a good punch off. He's going to use that elbow to his advantage.
Now Waring was smart. Waring was smart there. He tried to bait him to get on the ground, but Waring knows if he's on his feet, Ray, he has supreme confidence. He said it to you over and over again. If I'm on my feet for 5 minutes, I'll knock the other guy out.
Right, nobody can outbox me, he said. But you know what, again, Paulson should try to go to the body, bang some body shots to the liver and kidneys, take the legs away. Again, I'm sure I want to see James Waring do well, but you know, I just think that Paulson should use the style on the ground, get Waring to the ground as fast as he can and go to work from there.
Yeah, Eric Paulson needs to shoot in and grab the forward leg of James Waring and take him to the ground. So far, he hasn't done that. He's gone to the upper body.
Tom, what do you see with regards to Paulson? It doesn't look like he's as fatigued as we thought he was.
No, it doesn't. But I'll tell you something. Waring looks even less fatigued than Paulson is. I mean, I think he's even stronger at this point than he is. And, you know, he's got 7 years on him.
Well, clearly, Bob, Paulson has the superior feet in terms of kicking, or maybe at this point that's not an issue.
Well, Paulson's made it work for him. He knows that's one of his strengths standing up. I'm just surprised that he hasn't tried to shoot in and take Waring to the ground by doing the leg.
Ray, already the length of the match has gone beyond what we're used to. Does that favor Paulson, the younger man?
I would think so, because he's shown that he's got good stamina. He showed that against McCauley in the first fight. I think that would be to his benefit. But if he's on the end of those punches of James Waring, I don't care how long it goes, it's gonna hurt. He's not going to benefit.
But you know what? On the flip side of that, of course, Paulson has done nothing, Tom, to make Waring get worn out.
No, he really hasn't. He really hasn't. And Waring hasn't fallen for the temptation to fight this thing out on the mat. So he's holding his ground. And I'm really surprised that his legs are as strong as they are.
Are you surprised, Bob, that Paulson has not made a more concerted effort to get to the ground?
Absolutely. I think it's an unfortunate strategy. It's a strategy mistake because he doesn't have the weight. He certainly doesn't want to stand up forever because eventually James Waring is going to get one of those big punches in. So Eric Paulson needs to be shooting in, grabbing one of those legs and taking him to the mat, just as Ray said, and getting in a few elbow blows. Take some of the energy out of James Waring. He's very fresh right now.
Sure is. I mean, Waring is, to coin the phrase, wearing him down. He looks a lot fresher than Paulson does.
I think this is where James Waring should use his boxing technique and double and triple jab on Eric Paulson. Just keep him working.
Good straight left hand by Waring. But look at Paulson. He screamed out and said, "That didn't hurt me. That didn't hurt me."
Which usually means it did.
Well, once again, I mentioned the attack of Paulson. Clearly, Waring is not in a big hurry either. I would have thought, Ray, that by this time, he'd have been going with a lot of headshots.
I would think he would try to set him up, jab, double, triple jab, try to drop the right hand, uppercut, something, because it's standing up like this is only benefiting Waring. But he's not doing what he should, like in the ring. Right now, we'd be backing him up with the jab. He isn't doing that.
Well, this has been the longest fight of the evening thus far, Tom. And one thing that I'm surprised at here is the fact that clearly the one fight took something out of Paulson. And here now Waring is coming in for the kill. He saw him stagger a little, but I'm not sure Paulson was hurt as much as people thought, Bob.
Well, we're over 8 minutes in this match, so conditioning's going to begin to tell.
And Waring is no slouch when it comes to those kicks either, guys.
No, he just scored a couple of good ones.
See, right there, Paulson has his left hand. I don't know why he's not taking off defense and trying to hit James Waring with left hooks on the side of the head.
Well, again, I remind you of the fatigue factor. Of course, only 2.5 minutes for Waring. Paulson had a battle royale in his earlier match with McCulley. So maybe that has something to do with it.
And you see, Waring's got a hold of Paulson's hair right now, which is controlling the match.
Headbutt. Good headbutt by James Waring.
There's our special camera looking through the eye, getting as close as we possibly can. Waring now spending most of his time trying to get that one shot. Good left hand to the ear of Paulson. But Paulson hanging in there. And he got an uppercut.
Nice uppercut by Paulson and a couple of good knee kicks.
I think that surprised Waring, Ray. I don't think he thought Paulson could score like that.
No, he was very quick with that shot. But he's back to again with his hands. He should use one of his hands, try to drop short left hooks, right hooks on top of James Waring. See that hair? He's holding that hair.
Once again, the hair is an issue, Bob. He's not able to score like that if he can't hold on to the hair.
Well, again, Eric Paulson needs to be hooking a leg around James Waring so that he can put some pressure, grab his waist, and take him to the mat.
We have not had any time, any discernible time at all on the mat, Tom. I'm just very surprised here with regards to Paulson, if for no other reason, get to the mat and take a break where his skills are superior.
Absolutely. Go to your strengths. He's playing right into Waring's strengths here and has been for the whole match. It's not a good strategy long term, I don't think.
And in the fight business, when you're a little older and your legs are giving out a little bit, they tell you lay on the ropes to regain your strength, regain your wind. I think this only benefits James Waring. Laying up against the fence, he's getting his strength, he's getting his wind back.
And he's got him by the hair.
No joking! No joking!
That can't feel good.
You heard Cecil Peoples tell Waring not to choke, but he has an absolute death grip on the back of Paulson's hair. Now Paulson scores with a couple of rights.
Oh.
Oh, boy. Oh, the right knee to the head. Oh, that was a blow right there. And once again, he's still got a hold of the hair. Now he's looking for a shot that can finish it. He's going to go with the left hand. Goes with the top. Bob, if he is going to continue in this competition, I mean further competition, the hair has got to be cut.
Well, we've certainly said that before, but it's proven to be his undoing to this point in this match.
Ray, I'm saying we're halfway through now, 10 minutes of this bout. I'm having to say that no doubt Waring would not scored in some of those punches had he not had a hold of the hair.
No, and this is a question of vanity versus practicality, and he's got to cut the deal. This is ridiculous.
Well, else is going to get his scalp ripped off. Yeah. Because you could see when he was on the floor squirming around, it was painful because James Waring hold on to the hair.
Well, you can see that flurry took a little bit out of James Waring. He's taking a little break, trying to get a knee in. But you can see he's breathing through his mouth. He's a little exhausted, Bob.
No question. You know, this hair has just been the answer for James Waring. He's got a death grip on that head.
He's not letting go of that.
Tom, it appears at this point as he continues to hold on to the hair that Waring is looking for the one big shot.
And he'll get it, Todd. There's no question. I mean, I think this is just inevitable. It stays like this. They're playing right to his strengths.
Bob, what can Eric Paulson do to try to get that arm off of his hair?
One of the issues here, of course, gentlemen, is regardless of who wins this match, It's going to be so incredibly difficult, whoever does win this match, to go into the final against a well-rested Renzo Gracie.
There's no question.
Yeah, who basically hasn't broken a sweat tonight.
Well, two gentlemen that have broken a sweat are Eric Paulson and James Waring. Well over 13 minutes of fighting thus far. What do you think of the conditioning of Paulson thus far, Bob?
Well, I think you have to give him a lot of credit. This has been a very tough match. Having your hair pulled this long can't be any fun. He's taking a lot of knees. So you got to give him credit for his conditioning to get this far.
Ray, you made the phrase earlier, a heart too big. Could that be the case with Paulson?
Well, not only that, I think he has the skills to back it up, but right now, he's not in a position to show his skills. He's in a defensive position. He's just got to get James Waring's hand off his hair.
A defensive position maybe, Tom, but you got to give credit to Waring for that.
Absolutely, but I mean, Paulson has really handicapped himself here, Todd. He really has. I would be very interested to see how this thing would have gone if Waring didn't have that hunk of hair to grab onto for virtually all this fight.
It really has been virtually all of the fight, and you hate to keep harping on it, but your issue with regards to practicality versus vanity is right on the money.
I mean, to me, Eric Paulson right here should drop one low, south to the border. Just take it, bang him, because what else you got to do? You got to make James Waring drop that hand somehow. Bob, what can he do?
Well, you hear the crowd booing now, wanting to get some action, but quite frankly, Bob, it looks to me like both guys are fatigued.
No question about that. I mean, this has taken a lot of energy out of these guys, with Paulson getting the worst of it because he's locked up with that hair.
Boy, Gracie has got to be back there just licking his chops, no matter who ends up emerging victorious here. I mean, he's going to be lunch meat by the time it's over.
James Waring trying to trip the legs of Paulson. Partially successful, but the reason he wasn't is he still had a hold of his hair.
Well, exactly. James Waring has been trying to stomp the feet of Eric Paulson, and having some good effect with it. Those hurt.
Up close, you can see. I'm interested in trying to listen to what the manager is trying to say. At this point, I don't think that he has ever let go of the hair as yet. He's had a hold of the hair now for going on over 5 minutes.
See, right here is where Eric Paulson should drop some left hands on the chin of James Waring. Just chop on it. Just do the chop punch on it.
Prize money for this match is a major incentive. The winner will walk away with $115,000, and the runner-up is going to have $25,000. And so great incentive to get into the finals. That's why we see these two battling tooth and nail.
And hair.
Yeah, that's right. And knee, and elbow, and shoulder, and whatever else will work. Now a little more than 6 minutes now left in the fight.
A lot of money at stake. This is the biggest prize ever offered for this type of fighting to date. So these guys both want it real bad. You can see it.
Tom, I mentioned at the outset that this would be a war of attrition. No match personifies it more than this.
Oh, he dropped Eric Paulson with a right uppercut.
Now he's kicking the hair. He still hasn't let go of the hair.
No,
the towel comes in. The towel comes in. The towel comes in. The crowd doesn't like it. But the towel came in from the corner. He had seen that he had had enough.
I'll tell you, Waring's hand muscles have to be hurting if they're holding onto that hair for as long as he did. No fun for Paulson's head either. I'm just astounded at the way this thing went. I really am. I mean, and again, we've been harping on the hair all night, Todd, but I mean, I would really like to have seen what the outcome of this thing would have been if the hair wasn't such a factor, and it was.
Rob, you think it would have been different?
Tom, I expected Waring to win the fight. I didn't expect him to win it the way he did it.
Yeah.
James Waring, you know, was put into the Athletic Hall of Fame in Eastern Illinois University, and you can see his versatility here. He took advantage of what he had. He had the...
Okay, let's go up to John Higginson.
and gentlemen, the winner of the semifinals in the strikers division with a time of 16 minutes and 8 seconds, winning by submission, James Jr. Waring.
James Waring, the victor, and now he's going to get some much-needed rest, or hopefully he will get some rest in anticipation of his final bout against Renzo Gracie. Now, let's take a look at one of the preliminary fights of the evening. It was an exciting battle between Jerry Flynn and Fred Floyd. Our preliminary bout this evening features a couple of big bodies, Jerry Flynn and Fred Floyd. Jerry Flynn's expertise is in the Japanese art of shoot fighting, whereas Fred Floyd prefers the Budokan Kung Fu, which is Northern Mandarin Kung Fu. Now let's take a closer look at Jerry Flynn.
Jerry Flynn, a black belt in Yoshukai Karate. Jerry Flynn is the 1995 ICWA heavyweight wrestling champion of the world. This 6'4", 235-pound grappler has fought his way through some of the best competitors the U.S. and Japan have to offer. But he says the idea of competing in the WCC has got him excited like never before. Because of his explosive power in the ring, they call Jerry the Flynn Slam Man.
Jerry Flynn is a big guy, spent basically most of the last 5 years in Japan trying to perfect his art. He has studied under the noted Carl Gotch, and the shoot fighting that you see is basically the same kind of temperament that you have here this evening. Basically everything goes with the exception of eye gouging and biting. Now let's take a look at the big man, 340-pound Fred Floyd.
Fred the Mangler Floyd is a 6'4", 340-pound professional bodyguard from Ontario, California, an expert in Budokan Kung Fu.
Budokan Kung Fu is a great style because of the diversities of styles that are there. And they have my favorite, which is full contact fighting.
Floyd says his work in personal security has honed his intuition and reflexes. He says to win in the WCC, you've got to be a thinking fighter. Fred Floyd, thinking about doing some damage in the WCC.
Well, he is certainly animated for this. As you can see, he literally runs into the ring. And here is our chance to get to see whether or not somebody over 300 pounds can be successful in an event like this, which lasts, as we mentioned, 22 minutes. Over 300 pounds, is that girth going to be a problem, Bob?
Well, I think he thinks the weight's going to work for him, but the reality is that he's a stand-up fighter, and Jerry Flynn has done both grappling, shoot fighting, and kickboxing. So I think the Flynn's got the advantage, at least on the record. He's certainly a more experienced fighter.
I can't help but think of Fred Floyd. When I look at Fred Floyd, I'm reminded of the wrestler Chris Taylor, if you remember the great wrestler from Iowa State,
Absolutely.
The 410-pounder who was an NCAA champion. And if you're somebody that likes big bodies, take a look at this tail of the tape. 6'4" and 6'4", 235 versus 340. And as Bob says, it remains to be seen as to whether or not that 300-plus pounds is going to be a help or a deterrent. Now let's go up to the ring announcer, John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, now introducing the Warriors in your third preliminary fight. In the red corner stands a 31-year-old Floridian wearing black pants. He is 6'4" and weighed in at 235 pounds. Introducing the ICAA heavyweight wrestling champion, Jerry Flynn. And in the gold corner stands his 31-year-old opponent, wearing blue, red, white shorts. He is 6'4" and tips the scale at 340 pounds. Please welcome the PTA Super Heavyweight kickboxing champion from Ontario, California, Fred the Mangler Floyd.
Come on, bud. All right, guys, I'm just here to remind you, 22 minutes. You got 10 minutes on the floor. Everything goes. Watch the eyes. Watch the biting. Any question, you? Any questions from you? Go back to your corner. Go back to your corner.
Well, I think some
Be
of that,
ready.
Tom,
Be ready,
I think
sir.
some of that
All the
is
way back.
superfluous.
Please.
I can tell you, having worn a mouthpiece from time to time, I don't know how you're going to bite with that in your mouth.
Exactly. Oh, boy.
Well, now we were talking about the size advantage, and what happened there at 340 pounds is basically he just laid it all on top of Flynn. And Bob, I don't think this is what Flynn had anticipated early on. He thought that his skill would overcome the size.
You're absolutely right, but he's certainly taking advantage of his weight right now. That's what he needs to do. And Flynn's got to throw him out just like he did.
Well, now, one of the things about this particular competition, Tom and Bob, is who's on top is irrelevant. We've watched the Gracies and others win from the bottom, so it'll be interesting here to see who has the hardest chokehold, and right now it appears that Flynn might have an advantage.
And Todd, I think you got to give the advantage to the grappler by trade anyway, right? I mean, they're just more experienced in this kind of in-close fighting. No matter what the size of Floyd is, Flynn, would seem to have the advantage in this kind of a situation.
Well, it's obviously here that the Mangler started off fast, but he's struggling a little bit. You can see right now, catching his breath a little bit.
He shouldn't have run into the ring.
This would be a time, Bob, for Flynn to take advantage while he's taking a breather.
You're absolutely correct. Jerry Flynn, he had the cross guard. He's still in the dominant position, but he hasn't used any finishing holds yet. That's what we got to look for.
Less than 40 seconds now on the floor.
Now, Jerry Flynn just missed an opportunity for a headlock there. And so, again, Floyd is using his weight again.
You can see by the blows, though, the inexperience. You can see the inexperience of Floyd by the blows there, Tom. The back of the hand. And we're looking now at close to 10 seconds and counting left on the floor.
Go back up.
Just missed with a big kick there. You can see that balance is a problem where the Mangler is concerned, Bob.
Yep, now Jerry Flynn is trying to get a leg lock. Whether he gets it or not, he's trying. And if he does get that leg lock, Fred Floyd's going to be in trouble here. Now what Floyd needs to be doing, and he did it.
Well, you know what? On instinct alone, Floyd is doing the right thing. He needs to step up and get out of that. Because he's in unfamiliar territory, Tom. He's not aware of the techniques of Flynn, as you can tell.
Exactly, Ted. I was just going to say, this is not the kind of fight he wants to fight. He wants to get out there and throw punches, and doesn't want to get into a wrestling match with this guy. But he's doing pretty well for himself as long as he stays on top.
Bob, you see the blows to the middle of the back. They sound loud, and the crowd reacts. But the reality is I don't think those are that punishing.
No, I don't think so. Again, Floyd is doing what he's got to do by using his weight on it, but he's got the opportunity to do a head choke, a headlock here, and he's not doing it.
He tapped out.
That's it.
Flynn tapped out. He did it. The Mangler, 340 pounds with a chokehold there on the bottom, was able to get the victory. That was a very intense match in a short period of time. And you can see that Fred the Mangler Floyd is excited about it, pointing and saying, you said I couldn't do it, but I did. Don't tell me that 340 pounds can't come in here and win this.
Bobby, I got to believe, though, that those punches may not take the long-term effect, but it can't feel real good to have someone pounding on your kidneys for too long a period of time.
No question about it. But Floyd did the right thing. He was using everything he had, and he kept his weight on Flynn.
Well, as we get a chance to look at the replays, we'll see the amazing strength of Floyd. Take a look. Take a look at this right here. He loses his balance. He just kicks him. Look at that. Barely kicks him, Bob, in the left leg and gets him down.
But you see, there, Fred Floyd had the opportunity to put a leg lock on him. He didn't do it. It's just lack of knowledge. He's utilized his weight, but he's raining those blows.
Well, Bob, it's a lack of knowledge, but then again, take a look at the circumference of what he has to go around. Here's the reversal, and Flynn all of a sudden gets his arms around Floyd. Floyd's neck and pulls him over, and right there it appeared, Tom, that Flynn had the advantage.
Yeah, it sure did. It sure did. And you would expect him to in this kind of a situation, but Floyd really used his weight and his leverage to his advantage, and surprisingly well for a big guy in that kind of a situation.
And Bob, here's the coup de grace.
He got him into the headlock and was able to put enough pressure in the back of Flynn's neck and across his throat, and he tapped out.
Very impressive for a relative novice. His discipline once again, Budokan Kung Fu. Let's go to our ring announcer, John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the third preliminary fight, fighting time 3 minutes and 2 seconds, winning the fight by submission, Fred the Mangler Floyd.
Now, Bob, I think you have to be honest here. This surprised you.
Well, I think I didn't expect Floyd to be as functional on the ground. No question about that. And I'm happy to see that he had a little bit of grappling knowledge to go with that weight.
Tom, how far do you think he can go?
Absolutely. Well, a guy that size as far as he wants to, but this totally surprised me. It really did. It absolutely did. I mean, guys like that, you don't expect to be that effective in close, and he sure was tonight.
My guess is we're headed for a fairly animated interview with Richard. Richard, take it away.
Okay, Fred, congratulations. First of all, because it's very difficult even from where we are, can you explain exactly what the submission involved?
A lot of pressure. Just kept trying, pressing my weight on him. Just kept on.
You told me your weight would be an advantage. It obviously was. Jerry's a very experienced fighter, but again, you came out with all sorts of goods there, with leg kicks and use your power to advantage. Again, how are you going to prepare for the next fight? You got another couple to go, so how are you feeling? Good? Any injury?
No injuries. So I just meditate, get my heart rate down, and just come back.
All right, thank you, Fred. Congratulations again.
Terrific match indeed. The 340-pounder is victorious. Let's give you another opportunity to get some merchandise. Let's turn to Tom Murray. Tom?
Okay, Todd, folks, you at home can be part of the action with exclusive clothing from the World Combat Championship. These official 100% cotton T-shirts, sweatshirts, and hats are great souvenirs. Call now. Operators are standing by. Also, call now to order the limited edition official poster of the World Combat Championship. This poster features the names of all the main event warriors from this, the first World Combat Championship. Order now by calling 1-800-248-5055 for your World Combat Championship merchandise and official poster.
Okay, how we got here as we're heading to the final. In the semifinals, Bart Vale was supposed to go up against Renzo Gracie, but instead he ended up being injured. He had to go to the doctor, and Phil Benedict took his place. Gracie made short work of him, and that's how he ended up in the final. Tremendous match between Paulson and Waring, lasting over 16 minutes, Waring the winner of that war of attrition. Now we get a chance to take a look at the title. This is what it's going to be for the championship match. Renzo Gracie, the master of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, against James Waring, the boxer. Now we get a chance to take a look at the highlight of Gracie's last match. Tom?
Well, this guy really impresses me. I mean, he's just so efficient and uses his legs so well. That, to me, has been the key for him all night. The one thing that's impressed me about Gracie is that he uses his legs, and that to me has been the difference so far in all of these matches tonight. Incredible utilization of what his assets are.
Now he's heading into the ring. Renzo Gracie is somebody that really up to this point has just completely dominated this tournament. And Bob, I have to ask you, I mean, you've seen the others, you've seen Hickson, you've seen Hoyce. How does he compare?
Well, you know, each are unique in their own way. They all develop their own style. I think Renzo's the most aggressive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner that I've seen to date. He's got a very eclectic style. He's aggressive. He likes to take the fight to him.
Okay, Ray, let's take a look at the highlight of Waring in his last match.
Well, here James was doing not your typical boxing move here, but of course he had Eric Paulson by the hair, using the kicks to the head, few punches, straight punches. But James, an old warrior who knows how to throw them bombs, it's going to be a war.
It's going to be a war indeed. Tom, I got to tell you, taking a look at the face of James Waring, it doesn't look like he's had enough time to rest at all.
It looks like, I'll tell you though, Todd, he doesn't look as fatigued as you would expect him to be. I mean, he just exudes confidence going into the ring. The guy's recovery powers are amazing.
Well, the tail of the tape is coming up. There's the smile by James Waring, and he seems to be a favorite here. 9 years age advantage, but again, we come back to the exact same thing, Bob. Gracie well-rested, Waring not.
That's certainly going to be an advantage for Renzo Gracie.
All right, let's go up to the ring announcer, John Higginson.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The bout, which will crown the first World Combat Champion. In the red corner, having defeated Ben Spiker by submission in the quarterfinal round, advances to the championship bout after defeating Phil Benedict by submission in the semifinal round. The finalist from the Grapplers division, Renzo Gracie. And across the ring in the gold corner stands the finalist from the Strikers division. He's earned his place in the finals by defeating Jerome Turcan by submission in the quarterfinal round and Eric Paulson by submission in the semifinal round. Ladies and gentlemen, James Jr. Waring.
All right, gentlemen, this is it. Championship of the world on the line. 10 minutes on the mat. 22 minutes. Are you ready, sir? Are you ready, sir? Back to your corner, please.
One of the things that stands out here, Waring didn't even have enough time to change the tape on his hands. That's the same tape, Bob, that he wore in the first fight. This got to be a disadvantage. It's sweaty and soft.
Absolutely looks like it.
Clearly, Tom, the issue here is that Waring has to make sure that the fight is fought on the feet.
Absolutely, Todd. And I keep an eye on that right hand because it spent a good part of the last match clenched around Paulson's hair, and he has got to be tired. That hand has got to be tired.
So this is what James has to do. He has to keep him at the end of the jab, size him up with the jab, try to drop the right hand or the right uppercut on the way in.
Bob, one thing that we should mention here in the final, if they do go to the mat, it is 10 minutes, clearly an advantage for Gracie.
No question, because Waring hasn't been to the mat yet.
James got to keep him up with that jab. You can see Gracie's inching forward, trying to make his move.
Well, one of the things that Gracie is going to have difficulty with, as we saw, at 6'3", is getting him down, but then again, I could be wrong.
and there, Renzo Gracie shows you how you take a tall boxer, kickboxer down.
Now you see the bear hug there by Waring. But Gracie is very patient. Remember, Gracie is the one that said that he thought it was to his disadvantage that the thing was 22 minutes. He wanted it to be longer. He knows that he can take his time.
And this is where he lives, in this kind of position, in this kind of situation.
It's just a matter of time now, because this is the water that Renzo Gracie swims in. And he's now got the mounted position, and that's a very, very superior position. James Waring has no grappling experience. He's going to be at a total disadvantage now.
Ray, Waring's got to get to his feet.
Absolutely. And the only way he can do it is throw punches. He's got to throw some punches, spin it up. He's got to turn over and try to get Renzo off of him, get back to his feet.
But Gracie is well aware of this, too. And look at the legs of Gracie and where they are. You know, you mentioned that there was some artistry and there was some geometry involved. Note that the legs of Gracie never seem to stray from the midsection. His balance is always there on top, Bob.
That's exactly right. This is what the Brazilians call the mount position, and it's a very superior position. And if you don't know how to get out of it, you're in for a bad night.
You had a chance to see the right leg of Gracie. Evidently, he was involved in a fire as a youngster. You could see the leg very well scarred there, but it certainly hasn't been a deterrent to his using his legs.
Now, Renzo's doing exactly what his fight plan is. He's going to try to punish James Waring, use up his energy, and when he feels the time is right, he'll go for an arm lock, a neck lock, or a choke.
One of the things you see here, which is surprising, he's got the side headbutts there. And basically, it's not a situation, Ray, of going toe-to-toe with Waring. It's now more belly-to-belly, and certainly the advantage is Gracie.
This is Gracie's ring. This is his rope.
He tapped out. That's it. He tapped out.
He got him in a neck crank, and that was it.
You know what? It may have been the neck crank, Bob, but I genuinely believe that Waring just didn't have it to give. Ray, he just didn't have the energy.
No, he didn't. After a long fight last time, he just didn't have the energy. You're absolutely right.
Well, Bob, it was meant to be for Gracie. Everybody talked about that he was going to be the favorite. Certainly there was an advantage in terms of the fact that he was well rested, but you got to give him his due. He ended his matches earlier.
Absolutely. He's the one that made him short. And again...
Well, the big issue here, Tom, was getting him down in the first place.
Absolutely. That's where he wants to be. That's where he lives. That's where he's going to do his work. And once he gets him down, I mean, he can stay there all night. It's just a matter of time, as Bob said, before he's going to get into a position that's just going to wear Waring down. And, of course, he was in no position to really go the long distance after that brutal fight right before this one.
Bob, let's take a look at the tap out. I wasn't so sure that he had a neck crank as much as he was just gassed.
This is the same neck crack that I showed Ray a couple days ago, and it's incredibly painful. He's got his weight down on him, and there's just no way to sustain it. You're going to break a broken neck if you don't tap out.
And you saw the left hand, and once again, Renzo Gracie, very conscientious of being the sportsman. Watch the left hand go down, tapping out. It's all over for him.
And you saw the hand across the throat and against the back of the neck. He's putting his weight on it, and it just puts intense pressure in the back of your neck.
Very impressive youngsters. It just goes to show. You see that body, 5'11", 175 pounds, in a fighting discipline that does not have a weight division. You have to give Renzo Gracie all the credit, Tom.
It's amazing. I mean, this guy is just phenomenal. I've been very impressed by the technique, by the leg strength, by the leverage, by all the things that he's been able to do tonight in the various fights that he's fought. The guy is just, he's unbeatable. I mean, he's really a phenomenon. I've been very, very impressed with everything he's done tonight.
Well, let's go up to John Higginson for the presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, and the winner of the first World Combat Championship from the Grapplers Division with a time of 2 minutes and 47 seconds, winning by submission, Renzo Gracie.
Well, Renzo Gracie, clearly the man of the hour, Tom, no surprise.
Well, the thing is, Todd, the Gracie credo is to get their opponents in a position they've never been in before and go to work on him. And obviously, Waring was totally out of his element when he's down there in the mat. He's got a guy all over him. He can't breathe. His neck's about to break. What else is he going to do but tap out?
You know, Bob, Hickson and Hoyce have been getting a lot of the credit for their championships. Now they've got another Gracie, Renzo, who really appears to be on the horizon of doing some big things in this country.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. Renzo Gracie is an incredibly talented man, and each of them stand on their own. And Renzo did it tonight.
Ray, I'm sure that watching Renzo Gracie makes you want to make a comeback, doesn't it?
Oh, man, I mean, you got to pull for the little guy. I admire him. You got to admire the Gracies for what they've achieved. But, Todd, also, and I don't want to stray off a little bit, we'd be remiss to mention one warrior that should have fought tonight because of the doctor's orders, and he argued with the doctor, but Brent DeSantis was supposed to fight tonight. He was going to donate his purse to orphanage. He wasn't able to fight, and I want to tell all the people out there he's a true champion, and he'll be back.
Okay, let's get up to Richard with the winner, Renzo Gracie. Richard?
Renzo Gracie, the tradition continues.